Valley, and you arrive at Jack Murphy Stadium, where today the temperature is an excellent 67 degrees. Hello everybody, I'm Charlie Jones, this is Berlin Olsen. A divisional game, and those are the most important games of all.
Charlie, they're like playing two games at once because you have a chance to put a W on your side of the ledger and to post a loss on the opponent's side of the ledger in the division.
And last week, both of these ball clubs posted that L. They posted that loss in games that they had an opportunity to win.
Well, not only games that they had an opportunity to win, but both teams and both coaches talked to me about feeling that they had given those games away. That's something you cannot afford to do, but especially within your division.
They're also in the position now of chasing the Denver Broncos. And Denver, if Denver gets hot and on a roll, they're going to be difficult to catch.
Well, when you look at the standings, Charlie, it's a very simple equation. You're 2 games back starting today. You can't afford to be 3 games back. And both these coaches and both these teams have approached this game with a must-win tag. That's their conversation. That's what they need to do.
All right, let's go to the standings. And ironically, as you see there, you have these teams, along with Kansas City and Los Angeles, tied for second. That's the good news. The bad news is they're tied for last.
Yes, they are, Charlie. Well, they don't want to be there long.
And here is Chuck Knox, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And before we leave that, there's Dan Henning, the opposing coach, as he is pacing the sideline. Let's go back to that shot of Chuck Knox. As he has his game face on. He's ready. Now, do you know what he was doing last night? He was crawling around on the floor at the hotel in their suite with his granddaughter.
Well,
I love that.
I want pictures of that one, Charlie.
His granddaughter, Leanne, the family came down from Redlands, and he was visiting with them. And I would love to see Chuck in that situation.
I don't think he's shown that side of himself to his players this week. Very frustrated with that loss to Kansas City, a loss in which they were pummeled on the ground, in particular by Christian Okoye.
All right, Darrell Usher and Jamie Holland are the deep backs for San Diego. San Diego won the toss, elected to receive, and Norm Johnson is kicking off. And Jamie Holland from the 1-yard line. And he is decked at the 17. And it is Joe Cade who really nailed him. San Diego's offense. Their offensive line, it is the biggest in the National Football League, averaging 6'5" and almost 300 pounds a man. Their backs and receivers, they all look to the quarterback, Jim McMahon, to give them a chance to win. When San Diego goes to a passing situation, the H-back, Joe Caravello, he becomes the tight end. The running back and the tight ends come out. Dana Brinson comes in at running back. Wayne Walker becomes the third wide receiver. San Diego first down from their own 17. Caravello showing some motion and comes back. And McMahon comes out throwing. And he drops this to the H-back, Caravello. And he goes to the 26. He has 9 on the play. And this is the Seattle defense. Now they're starting with a 4-man line. That's to counter the running attack. And you saw McMahon started throwing. In passing situations, Alonzo Metz and Vernon Maxwell will come out. And Paul Moyer and James Jefferson join a secondary that is just on the verge of coming together.
Charlie,
second down, less than a yard.
That's only the 3rd reception on the year for Caravello, so a bit of a surprise as they go to him on this first play.
And here's Tim Spencer, and he picks up the first down as he goes to the 30-yard line, and Jeff Bryant makes the tackle. Were you surprised that they came out throwing?
Not really. McMahon, if you give him his choice, he'd throw it almost every down. He loves to throw the football. But, and we've got a problem already. Joel Patton, number 78, hopping off the field, keeping his left leg up off the ground. There he is, getting some assistance, coming off the field. Let's see if we can see what happened to Patton, one of those huge offensive linemen that you talked about, Charlie. He gets one of his own players on the back of his legs right there. You saw one of his own players down on the back of his legs. Those big legs are just like little legs. You get that shot in the wrong place and they crumble.
First down, they mark at the 29-yard line. Play action fake. McMahon goes deep, has Jamie Holland, and it is no good. A flag down at the 30-yard line of the Seahawks. The official along the sideline signaled the incompletion. The official inside of him threw the flag against Dwayne Harper.
Interference. Number 29 on the defense. First down.
Dwayne Harper right there and just sticks that arm across. I could have called that one, Charlie.
Yes.
Charlie, let's flash back just for a second. That Joel Patton injury especially difficult because Brett Miller, who's the starting right tackle, already out of this game with a stiff neck. So Fitzpatrick in his place, and now Joey Howard in place. So you've got 2 replacement tackles in there.
A 39-yard penalty on the interference and a first down. And here is Spencer. Gain of 5, second down and 5. David Wyman makes the tackle along with Jeff Bryant. The injury to Joel Patton, the same one that he suffered a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I talked to him yesterday about his legs. I said, are they healthy? And he just smiled and looked away, actually looked up at the ceiling, because at this time in the year, a lot of people are nursing injuries, but the big linemen very often not allowed to feel sorry for themselves. They said, the bone's not sticking through, back in the ball game.
Second and 5. Spencer again. This time to the 21. And he may have the first down. David Wyman with the tackle.
Getting great sound off that field. You can hear good football games. You got a feel for the popping there. Spencer coming off a very big weekend last weekend. Carried the ball a great deal against the Denver Broncos. In fact, he had 15 carries for 78 yards. That's the most he'd ever carried the ball in the NFL. They're giving him the ball here again today.
When you're playing, are you aware of the sounds?
You're aware of the pain, Charlie. You can feel those pops, but I think we hear them and also feel them a little bit from up here when we get the good sound on them.
Cavello in motion. Good play action fake. Wide open left side is Anthony Miller. 12-yard line. Jenkins for the defense.
Jim McMahon said very simply yesterday, we've got to get the ball into Anthony Miller's hands. Miller, with tremendous speed, is a real threat after he catches the ball. This is something that Seattle has not done very well this year, and that's rush the passer. All kinds of time to throw. Anthony Miller with a good catch.
Opening drive of the ball game, 7th play of the drive, 2nd and 1, 12-yard line of Seattle, no score, 11:57 left, first period. Here's Spencer going outside, looks for a block inside, has the first down at the 9-yard line. He has 3, it'll be first and goal to go, and Darren Como from San Diego, went to San Diego High School, is the man who made the tackle.
Joe Caravello is a 270-pound H-back. He's another lineman in motion there. Number 46 coming to the middle of your screen there, double teaming on the play on Tony Woods and then going off to get a piece of a second block. That's like having an extra guard in that backfield.
He has a great pair of arms, doesn't he?
Guns, we call those. Call those guns, Charlie.
He's the NFL wrist wrestling champion, 2 years in a row. First down, goal to go. Spencer looks for the hole, slips as he makes his cut, still manages to get to the 7-yard line. Eugene Robinson, the free safety, was the man who was putting the pressure on him.
I talked to Tom Catlin, Charlie, about the last few weeks, and he's been a little frustrated. They'd done some gambling early in the season, in particular against the Cardinals, the Phoenix Cardinals. They got burned a little bit. They went back to a more conservative style of defense, but he said, we're going to have to come out and throw some blitzes at them today. This is an area on the field where they love to do that.
Second down, goal to go. You notice the visor that McMahon is now wearing. In zone, and it is incomplete, and a flag is down. Melvin Jenkins had the coverage.
And they were throwing the blitz at them on that particular down, man-to-man coverage, and someone knew they were about to lose their man.
Holding, number 24 on the defense, half the distance to the goal.
It's on Melvin Jenkins.
Anthony Miller right in the middle of your screen. Jenkins with a grab right there. Held him just long enough. Well, you can't do that. That's kind of a chintzy call in a way.
I would agree with that.
But it was a legitimate call. You can't have that arm on the guy and clamp him down. Respecting his speed, I think, more than anything else.
Double tight end. First down goal to go after splitting the distance. Little play action fake. Wide open is Arthur Cox. His first touchdown of the year. That's what a running game will do for you.
Certainly will. You hammer, you force the team to respect it inside, and he just tossed the ball, especially to someone like Arthur Cox. Cox has only caught just a handful of passes, 7 passes for 64 yards on the year. He was certainly wide open for that one.
McMahon to Cox, 3 yards. Here's Chris Barr out of the hold of David Archer with the extra point attempt. Gannon the snapper. And it is right down the middle. And San Diego takes the early lead 7-0. Merlin?
Charlie, we were looking at the smiling face of Arthur Cox, and you'll get a chance to see how open he is as he breaks loose. Let's turn him loose. Caravello moving across the picture to your right. Cox, left-hand side of your picture, number 88. He just slides through there. Looked like the linebacker fell down, Charlie. That's Maxwell, Vernon Maxwell, number 50, right there, falling on the ground. That was his responsibility to keep Cox on the line. He simply blew it.
On the drive, Jim McMahon 3 of 3. And also on the drive, the Seattle Seahawks were assessed 43 yards in penalties. 43 of the 83 yards of the drive.
Also, some lucky fan could win the grand prize.
So now Chris Barr will be kicking off. It took almost 4.5 minutes. Elroy Harris and James Jefferson will be the return man. And Jefferson is the key man. He's number 26. Last week against Kansas City, the opening kickoff, 97 yards. Was that right? This one is taken at the 14-yard line by Harris, and Harris is up at the 25-yard line. Let's go back to the touchdown, Merlin.
Charlie, here's Cox right in the middle of your left-hand side of your screen, and Maxwell right on top of him. Cox is just going to slip through here, and Maxwell is going to fall to the ground. Watch it right there. Just throws him outside. Maxwell is on the ground trying to get back to his feet. You see him coming from the right-hand side of your screen there. Cox just using a little bit of a takedown, a wrestling maneuver, as he threw Maxwell right to the turf.
Seattle from their own 26, they do it again. Dave Craig picks up where John Elway left off on the hard count, pulling the Chargers into the neutral zone, and we've got flags everywhere. And I believe this time it was Bert Grossman who jumped. Now, last week, San Diego's defense was pulled offside 6 times by a hard count. Explain the hard count for us.
Number 92 on the defense, still first down.
Well, let's watch McMahon, or not McMahon, but Craig, rather. Let's see if he's getting a bob to his head. And really what you try to do here, Charlie, is you try and get the guessers in the defensive line. Well, they've talked so much this week about not guessing, but it's Grossman, and you were right, number 92. You saw him jumping on the right-hand side of your screen.
So it is first down and 5. The ball out at the 31-yard line. San Diego leads it 7-0, and John L. Williams opens up on the ground. Now let's look at that Seattle offense, and this is an offensive line that is still coming together. Perhaps better at run blocking right now than pass blocking. Backs and receivers led by quarterback Dave Craig. He's off to his finest start ever. Now when Seattle goes to 4 wide receivers, running back Kurt Warner and tight end Robert Tyler will come out, and wideouts Paul Scansey and Jeff Chadwick replace them. Second down. John L. Williams, and he's got the first down and down the steps out of bounds at the 48-yard line. A gain of 17 and a first down.
Big John L. Williams out of that fullback position, just getting himself to the outside, and it looked like the San Diego Chargers were expecting a play inside. Gary Plummer is simply no match for the speed of Big John L., who is surprisingly fast enough to run those halfback type plays to the outside as well as hammering up the middle.
I think some of the defensive players around the league, when they start chasing him in the secondary, find out they really can't catch him as quickly as they thought that they would be able to. First down, Seattle at the 48. A little play action. Craig throws, drops it off underneath to John L. Williams, and he has 2 yards to the 50 at second down and 8. All right, let's see what's going on in the National Football League today. First with some finals. Houston defeats Chicago by 5. Miami over Cincinnati. Upsets continue. The Giants over Washington by 3. New England leading Atlanta by 2. That's the game still going on. San Francisco downing the Cowboys. Also in the fourth, Tampa Bay in front of Detroit, and the final Minnesota over Green Bay. And we'll bring you up to date in a moment on the other games that are starting now. Here's his comeback screen to John L. Williams, faking everybody to the right side, and John L. goes to the 26-yard line. A gain of 24, first down before Sam Seal can get him.
John L. Williams, stopped by number 36, Seal. Seahawks with the first down.
Charlie, what makes this play work is the fact that it is really designed as a double screen. A double screen.
24 yards.
They're going to start by faking the screen out to this side and then come all the way back to the other side of the field. Right here. And the whole San Diego defense had responded to the first fake screen, leaving John L. out there all by himself.
Seattle starting this drive at their own 26, now at the 26 of San Diego. And here's Robert Tyler, the Seahawks tight end. And he's at the 22-yard line, gain of 4, second down 6. Vince Glenn with the tackle. Let's check on to our ticker and the other scores. Game starting with ours. Indianapolis-Denver, will be watching that one, no score. Kansas City early lead over the Raiders. No score at Phoenix with the Eagles going against the Cardinals. Pittsburgh with a field goal over Cleveland. New Orleans with 6 over the Jets in the first quarter. And here it is San Diego 7, Seattle nothing, and we have just over 7 minutes left to go in the first period. John L. Williams in motion, a play action fake to Kurt Warner into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Lewis Clark, the intended receiver. Gil Byrd had the coverage. Let's go back to the Chargers defense that we've seen on this drive. Their front 7 is very athletic, and they have great quickness. Now, in passing situations, the nose tackle and the 2 inside linebackers will be coming out.
Gary Brashear.
George Hinkle comes in as a pass rusher. Elvis Patterson and Roy Bennett join the secondaries, led by Gil Byrd. In addition, there's a change of strong safety, where Martin Bayless comes out and Lester Lyles replaces him. We want to welcome those that have been watching the Chicago-Houston ball game. Jeff Chadwick has the reception for 19 yards. At the 3-yard line, it'll be first down and goal to go.
One of the things that Chuck Knox respects most is experience. They picked up Jeff Chadwick from the Lions, knowing that he's made big plays like this throughout his career. They're not afraid to go to him in the clutch situation. It pays off here with a first down on the 12-yard line.
3-yard line.
3-yard line.
First down and goal to go. Craig steps away. The Chargers take a timeout. That stops the clock. San Diego leads at 7-0, and the Seahawks are threatening. Six minutes and 15 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first quarter. San Diego leading Seattle 7-0. The Seahawks, in their first possession of the ball game, started this drive from their own 26-yard line, have now moved to the 3-yard line of San Diego, where it is first down and goal to go.
Very impressive drive, and I like the play calling. They kept this San Diego defense off balance all the way down the field.
Travis McNeil and Robert Tyler, the 2 tight ends on the set. Kurt Warner. That is his first carry, and he has a yard to the 2.
Equaling his total for last week's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I asked him before the game, I said, Kurt, when you have a game like that, do you spend much time worrying about it? He said very simply, he said, I don't care whether it's 1 yard or 101 or 110. You got to put last week's game behind you. But he said it with a pained look in his eyes. I know.
As he was looking back to last week.
You bet. He's looking to get better yardage here today. A lot better.
Over the top.
No.
But bit back.
Yes.
Now, one official on the far side said yes. One official said the ball broke the plane coming down from the far side. And it is a touchdown for Kurt Warner.
Almost a gymnastics kind of maneuver here. The double foot plant and over the top, Charlie.
And again, the notation, it is when the ball breaks the plane, and the plane being the front edge of the white line of the goal line. And again, camera angles are deceptive.
Well,
and now,
this crowd is certain that they didn't score. I don't know. We'll look at another angle. Perhaps we can help. This one will not tell you where that goal line is. You can see the plant right there.
Based on review by the replay official, it is not a touchdown. It'll be third down on the 1 yard line.
Well, Charlie, I tend to agree with that, but I don't know how they could have seen that from the pictures we have looked at. It did not look like a touchdown to me. But
and bit back. See, the ball came back in under, they said.
But from that angle, Charlie, you almost have to guess where that body was in the air.
Yes, you're right. So the ball marked, it is called officially the 1. Actually, it is only about 4 or 5 inches away.
From a touchdown, we go to a critical third down.
Warner is airborne. They say no. It'll be 4th down. You make the decision. Do you go for it? I say yes. Do you kick the field goal? What do you say?
Well, if they can't get a touchdown starting on the 3 yard line down inside, they're making a huge concession to this San Diego defense. Warner, I think, planted and jumped too early. I think if he'd have taken another step forward before he jumped, look how far back he is right there. He jumps from almost the 3 yard line. And they are going, Charlie. Here it is. I think they have to do it.
Craig throws and he overthrows. Tyler was open. There's a flag down. You don't want to anticipate the call. It is holding against San Diego.
And what could have been a highly emotional play.
Half the distance, first down.
What could have been an emotional turnaround for the San Diego Charger defense blows up in their faces. Billy Ray Smith, 54, left-hand side of your screen. You just get a little glimpse of him there, but he does have a lock right there on Robert Tyler, and of course Tyler is the man they wanted to throw to.
And so it is first down and goal to go, still about an inch away.
And they still have to score, Charlie.
Warner, this time he has it. But it took Seattle 5 plays from the 3 yard line.
That's not the kind of running game that Chuck Knox is known to appreciate and build. Here's the scoring jump. Timing it much better on that play, and I really think he did jump early on the last one, or he could have scored on that one. But there's no question here as he rolls into the end zone on a 1 yard touchdown run.
And now here's Norm Johnson out of the hold of Jeff Kemp. Arthur LaBelle is the snapper. No, it'll be Feasel snapping. And it is good, and we are tied. It is Seattle 7 and San Diego 7 with 5:15 left to go, first quarter.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By new Keystone and Keystone Light. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? And by Liberty Mutual. For your insurance and financial service needs, America believes in Liberty Mutual.
This is Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen, now a tie ball game, as Norm Johnson will be kicking off to either Darrell Usher or Jamie Holland. Both opening drive, ending in touchdown. And here is Holland on the return, and he slips as he makes his cut. That grass, that turf is a little loose there where it's been resodded in the infield. Let's go to the 10-minute ticker. We'll check up on everything. Houston defeating Chicago, that's a final. Miami over Cincinnati, that's a final and an upset. The Giants win, they down Washington by 3. Atlanta by 1 over New England in a close one, and San Francisco comfortably over Dallas 31-14. Tampa Bay by 1 over Detroit. Close ball games today. Minnesota over Green Bay 26-14. Now, in the games that are going now, along with ours, Indianapolis with the early lead over Denver. Kansas City with the early lead over the Raiders. No score between Philadelphia and Phoenix. McMahon comes out throwing again. He goes deep, far side, and it is incomplete. Anthony Miller, the intended receiver, and Patrick Hunter had the coverage. Let's go back and finish out all of the other scores of the National Football League. Pittsburgh leading Cleveland. That's early, of course. The Jets trailing New Orleans also in the first quarter. And here we're tied at 7 with 5 minutes and 1 second left to go in the first period.
San Diego has started both of their drives inside the yard line. Tremendous coverage on the kickoffs by Seattle so far in this ball game.
Next week, NFL Live, the Raiders against Philadelphia, Denver against Seattle, a pair of the key games that you'll be seeing on NBC. And here is Tim Spencer, and he has 3, maybe 4 yards, and it's going to be 3rd down and 6.
Seattle still playing out of that 4-man alignment, although they have made a lot of substitutions here, trying to shut down the running game. They simply could not shut down, could not slow down Christian Okoye last week, and the Kansas City Chiefs able to take that ball game away from them in the second half.
Joel Patton is back in at offensive left tackle for the Chargers. Dana Brinson is in the offensive set. Jamie Holland shows motion. McMahon scrambles, it's there, and he's got the first down as he goes sliding to the 30-yard line, and the flag is down.
Wyman, number 92, stacked up on top of McMahon, and when the quarterback slides, you got to stay off of him. And Wyman draws the 15-yard penalty. Big penalty yardage so far against Seattle in this ball game. McMahon's knees apparently very healthy. He's running the best I've seen him run in a long time.
On the defense, first down.
The end of the play. Once you start to slide,
You got to stay off.
defensive players simply cannot load up on you. That's a very unforgiving rule. Another angle. 92. Wyman coming in from behind. Right there. And no question about it. McMahon not only on the ground, but clearly in a sliding position. That's a dumb mistake, Charlie.
And there's the visor that we've been talking about that he has now gone to. Seattle thus far in the first quarter has already been hit with 58 yards in penalties. McMahon has pressure, and it is incomplete. Almost caught. Jacob Green. I think Jacob Green was in the huddle with it.
Big Jake in there with a long arm right down in front of him. Jacob's got 95.5 sacks over his career. But then what's the catch here?
Wayne Walker.
Wayne Walker diving back
And then
for
he
that
brought
ball. Very, very nice. There's Jacob. A hand right there on McMahon's arm. And I think that's why that ball was thrown back away from the line of scrimmage so far.
So it's 2nd and 10 at the 45. Ball game tied, 7-7, 3:43 left to go first quarter. Holland in motion. Juggle.
intercepted.
Intercepted, and is picked off in the air. Darren Como. Dana Brinson, D-Rock couldn't find him.
Serving up an hors d'oeuvre. Boy, if there's anything unfair to a quarterback, it's this.
And there it is. Hey, that's all right. We just ran away and we came back to it. Brent juggled it. We'll take another look.
Here's the play on the outside. Watch the bounce.
2, 3,
There's no way you can
4.
blame a quarterback for that. Good alert play.
He bounced it
by
4
Como.
times. Seattle has led the NFL for the last 5 seasons in total takeaways, averaging 55 a year. They got the first in this ball game. Look at this year, though.
They now have 9. We'll talk about that after this play.
Darnell Williams is going to lose a yard.
Charlie, let's get that statistic back up because the Seahawks have been such an opportunistic team. They've been taking the ball away under Chuck Knox so well. But this year, there's the 9 now. Now, if they were on pace with their last 5 seasons, they would have 18 in those first 5 games. And of course, not getting the ball for your offense, that means they don't have as many opportunities. This is a great opportunity that they need to convert on if they're going to win this ball game.
2nd and 11. Tyler, the tight end, in motion. The secondary rotates. And Craig simply missed him. He was going to the tight end, Robert Tyler. And it'll be 3rd down and 11. The quarterback comparisons both started with a hot hand in their opening drives. Craig now 4 of 6, McMahon 3 of 6, and he had that interception that he did not deserve.
He certainly didn't. There should be a little asterisk after that interception caused by Dana Brinson because that was not the quarterback's fault. But Charlie, the significant thing here, these quarterbacks, when they get started with a hot hand, usually stay hot.
Seattle with 4 wide receivers. This is Scansey coming in motion and then reversing. And the pass is complete to Brian Blades, and he leans for the first down. He's going to get it by about half a yard. He was stopped by Gilbert and Vincey Glenn.
Somebody blew the pattern here. Blades and Scansey right on top of each other at the end of this pattern. Normally, when they stack up like that, you're going to see an interception. Look at this. Scansey thinks that ball is to him, looks back over his shoulder as it goes right to Blades. Strange pattern.
And when you think of 3rd down and you think of Seattle, you think of Scansey, number 82. 85% of his opportunities on 3rd down, he has picked up the first down.
But Blades is the hot receiver since Largent went down with the elbow injury.
Kurt Warner making a Kurt Warner move. And that is that sliding, gliding, and then the head fake inside, and he gets an extra step on Martin Bailey, makes the tackle.
First Scansey and then Blake.
Gain of 7 yards.
Watch the way they get manhandled.
Watch the 2 receivers. Ooh, boy, there's obviously been some conversation about we're not letting the receivers off unscathed. You saw Scansey out here on the other side of the field. Sammy Seals working on Blades. Help, or Blades working on Sammy Seal.
A little bit more than the 1 chuck in 5 yards, though, isn't it? 2nd and 3. Warner is shut off, and he is shut down by Bert Grossman. It'll be 3rd down. The 10-minute ticker. Denver now in front of Indianapolis, 7-3. Kansas City leading the Raiders by a like score. No score between Philadelphia and Phoenix. Pittsburgh still leads Cleveland by 3. And the Saints over the Jets 6-0. And here with just over 50 seconds remaining in the first quarter, we are tied at 7. 3rd down and 4. Seattle with 4 wide receivers. A flag is down. Williams, the ball carrier, couldn't find an opening.
He's short of the first down. Let's let them have a chance to sort it out.
George Hinkle with the tackle. It's a motion call against Seattle.
Well, now do you refuse the penalty and take the 4th down, or do you mark them back?
Well, I think you refuse the penalty and make it 4th down, force them to kick the field goal. What do you think?
I think I would, Charlie.
Do we get a vote?
But if you,
You think Chuck will let us vote?
Might be 1-1. If you move it, if you do move it back, that's a confident stroke for the defense. You're putting a lot of confidence in your defense. I tend to agree with you. I think you forced the long field
Illegal
goal there.
motion. Number 86 on the offense. Still third down.
They're going to take the penalty.
Well, out of respect perhaps to the kicker, Norm Johnson. Bottom of your screen. Let's see what happens. Tyler, it has to keep coming inside. He's going forward.
Yes.
You're simply not allowed to do that. That's awfully close to being an illegal block, too, on Leslie O'Neal. You're not allowed to come in from the outside and contact those linebackers in the back.
And look at the penalties that the Seahawks have garnered already, and we're still in the first quarter. Third down and 9.
This one may backfire on San Diego.
Right through the hands of Paul Scansey, Mr. Third Down conversion.
Well, that
and a
came
great
very
pass.
close to being the kind of call that the coach said, why in the world did we ever refuse that penalty? This should have been a first down. And Scansey's normally reliable hands allow this ball to escape right there. I tell you, he's already knowing that he's going to dream about that one.
From the 40, an attempt of 50 yards. Jeff Kemp holding, Grant Fiesel the snapper, and Norm Johnson the kicker to break the tie. Good snap, good hold. It's there. And Seattle leads for the first time. The Seahawks 10, the Chargers 7. Will be back with a kickoff. 4 seconds remaining in the first quarters. Seattle leading by 3, 10-7, and that means that Norm Johnson will be kicking off, with Darrell Usher on the far side and Jamie Holland on the near side as the two return men. And Holland takes it at the 4. 15, 20, and a flag is down. He may have caught a face mask as he made his spin move. Rufus Porter, outstanding special team player for the Seahawks, makes the tackle.
Tremendous coverage, and it's going to go against San Diego, and they will, for the third time today, start their drive
Illegal
well
block
inside
during the
their 20.
run back. Number 46 of the receivers will be 10 yards. First down.
Joe
First
Caravello.
quarter, ladies and gentlemen, is Seattle.
And with that play, the first quarter comes to a close with the score: Seattle 10, San Diego 7. Jim McMahon now wearing a visor that's become rather popular. Interesting, there are 4 visors that are available. This one is a clear, and you have.
I have the smoky for the bright days, Charlie. They like designer glasses.
And then I have the amber for the cloudy
Which is your
days.
favorite, Charlie?
Well, I like it because it brightens everything up. Is that me? What do you like?
I like looking through rose-colored glasses. Here we are. Right? But these are they're designed basically to prevent eye injuries.
Yes,
and
that
you're
is so
supposed
they
to
can't
have a reason to wear them, not just to look good. But the other advantage you get if you're a quarterback, you put that smoky lens on. Very difficult for the defensive backs to see through at the quarterback's eyes.
And also, for McMahon to wear them, as you know, he always wears sunglasses. There's a reason that he wears sunglasses outdoors. When he was 6 years old, he was unstrapping the toy gun holster on his leg, and he had his fork to untie the knot, and the fork came up and hit him in his eye and punctured the eye. So he's very, very sensitive to bright sunlight.
It's not just that he wants that wild man look.
No, but I think that's part of it, though.
Oh, yes.
And here's Tim Spencer. To the 11.
Courtney Hall, number 53, a young center working on a very experienced nose tackle, Joe Nash, who is very, very quick at reading that center's head. Courtney Hall, they didn't let him go. He went around and made the tackle. Very, very fine play by Joe Nash.
Second down and 7. San Diego with the ball on their own 11-yard line. Caravello in motion. McMahon to throw. Now he has pressure. He rolls out. And it's incomplete. Jamie Holland, the intended receiver, but in reality, McMahon was out of time. He was throwing the ball away. It'll be 3rd down and 7. The Chargers' offensive line. It's a big one, Merlin.
Well, that's the new kind of offensive line around the league. Everybody wants to go to 4 tackles and a center. That's exactly what they have here in San Diego. They're working against a much smaller defensive line for the Seattle Seahawks. You get a feeling for that. That is a huge, huge difference. Spotting a lot of weight and a lot of height.
McMahon rolls out. Rolls out again, and now he'll go for the sideline. And we've got a flag down at the 17-yard line. And also we have a cap down, which means that one of the players went out of bounds. And when a player goes out of bounds, they drop the cap to remind the officials in case he comes back in and makes the play. 10-minute ticker. Denver still leading Indianapolis. Kansas City in front of the Raiders by a like score of 7-3. Phoenix with a safety there in front of Philadelphia by a score of 2-0.
Offside, number 79 on the defense, still 3rd down.
New Orleans in front of the Jets. And Jacob Green was offside.
McMahon saying turnabout is fair play. You got one of our defensive ends to jump off sides earlier. It would get you to jump off sides. As you look at McMahon, you get a feeling for what the defensive backs will see. You talk about quarterbacks or defensive backs reading the quarterback's eyes. Very difficult when those eyes are hidden behind that shield.
Do you read the eyes or do you read the helmet?
You read the eyes and the movement of the head. But still, if you've been trained to read the eyes and you can't see them, that's got to bother you as a defensive back.
McMahon has pressure, throws, passes, complete to Jamie Holland. And Holland has the 1st down at the 24-yard line.
By number 92, David Wyman.
And so the penalty on Jacob Green giving San Diego another 3rd down opportunity, and this one they convert.
First down.
As is so often the case, Charlie, when you give your opponent another chance, he's liable to come back and burn you. McMahon has done it here, and I mentioned there's a similarity in these two quarterbacks. When they start with a hot hand, they stay hot, and when they can get rolling inside the framework of that offensive game plan, they are even tougher than they would ordinarily be.
Carvello, the H-back in motion.
Fake reverse, and he'll go deep.
And wide open is Anthony Miller, and he's got it. 32-yard line of Seattle. 45 yards, 1st down.
And why was McMahon mad at himself? He underthrew what should have been a touchdown pass. It's a big reception, but watch how far out in front of Patrick Henner. Now, he's supposed to pick up help deep. And there's the help right there, Eugene Robinson, but Eugene is about 3 steps behind. Had that ball been thrown out in front, that would have been an easy touchdown for the fleet Anthony Miller.
Second to Darrell Green in the NFL's fastest man contest.
He is a flyer.
Oh, no question. The man can motors. And here's Spencer. And he has got 5 yards to the 27, and it's 2nd down and 5. Alonzo Mitz makes the tackle next Saturday. Join NBC Sports for final round coverage of the Walt Disney World Oldsmobile Classic. Beautiful and demanding courses of Walt Disney World will challenge some of the best pros in the tour, including 2-time U.S. Open champion Curtis Strange, Buzzy Zeller, Players champion Victor Tom Kite, and this year's leading money winner Payne Stewart. $800,000 up for grabs. Ooh, just a 9-iron away from the Magic Kingdom. That's next Saturday here on NBC. And here is Marion Butts, the big guy, and he rambles. 6'1", almost 250 pounds. Como with the tackle, 1st down. 11 yards.
Watching from the end zone, Butts is going to run right over number 57, Tony Woods. You see him break to the outside. A chance right there for Woods to make a tackle, but you don't arm tackle a 250-pounder. And that's the kind of lesson that these Seahawks learned so well trying to tackle Christian Okoye last week. This linebacker also, or this running back also bigger than the linebackers. That's 2 weeks in a row.
And he gets the call again.
And off to Marion Butts.
Marion Butts has scored 6 touchdowns this year.
Number 92, David
Chance to look at the kind of pressure this very, very big offensive line is putting on a much smaller defensive line. And that's a pounding, punishing style of football they've run in the last part of this drive, trying to take advantage of that size advantage that we mentioned just moments ago.
Seattle leading by 3, 10-7, second quarter. Caravello in motion. Play action. Coming back to this side to Caravello, the H-back, and he is down at the 11. He'll have a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Eugene Robinson up into them.
Caravello likes this game plan. He's getting a chance to catch the ball.
Probably more than he's ever had in his career.
Well, and you might wonder why. I talked to him about last week's game in which he did a lot of trapping inside. I said, will you do that this week? He said, no, they saw the films too. We'll be doing different things, and certainly they have, using him as a pass receiver, although he did not get very far on that particular play. Twice he's caught the ball here today.
3rd down and 4. And Butts slipped as he made his cut, and then he got up. But they may have blown it dead when he was down at the 11-yard line, and that'll be for no gain, and the kicking team is going to come on.
In the area, sodded after baseball ended, and we've seen a number of people lose their feet at that end of the field today. Butts just the latest of a list of those. You'll see him coming, watch him dig right there, and the foot just goes out from underneath him. And again, that's the area that was sodded after baseball finished. It's taken pretty well, but it is still not as solid as the rest of the field.
Now here's Chris Barr, perfect this year, but only 2 of 2, hitting from 37 and 39. This is from 29 yards away, and the tie. He's got it. We are tied for the 2nd time in the ball game. Seattle 10, San Diego 10. We'll be back with the kickoff. This is Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen, along with Chris Barr, who is going to kick off. James Jefferson and Elroy Harris are the return men for the Seattle Seahawks.
I think I'd kick away from Jefferson. But he's going to get it.
At the 5, he's got an opening and just lowers his head and plows over a defender. Good return for James Jefferson.
4-yard line.
Roy Bennett with a tackle.
John L. Williams, one of the true power backs in this league. Huge thighs on this man, and that's where the power for a running back, fullback in particular, comes from. But look at the size of those hands. You get a feeling he has some of the largest hands in the game of football. And those powerful arms and big hands give him a tool when he's running. He's got a great stiff arm, Charlie. Maybe we'll get a chance to see it during the game.
But also, those hands are soft. He's an excellent receiver. Tight end Robert Tyler. And he takes a swing at Figaro and hits him right in the face mask. That's not a wide decision, no.
He stopped by number 44, Martin Bailey.
See if we can pick up the fisticuffs here right at the end. Plays in blown dead here, and the wrestling continues.
Shoving match right there. That's
It's
kind of
more than
silly
a
for
shoving match.
Figaro.
Yeah, more of a shoving match.
And also you don't want to retaliate very often. The guy who bounces somebody after the fact
Second man.
is the one who gets the flag. Neither flag thrown there.
2nd and 6. Kurt Warner. He'll lean for a yard, and that's all. 3rd down and 5. Figaro with the tackle. Let's check the 10-minute ticker. We're right on time with the scores. Denver leading Indianapolis. That score has not changed. Kansas City still leading the Raiders. Christian Okoye scored that touchdown. And Phoenix still has the safety over Philadelphia. Pittsburgh 3 over Cleveland. Jets trailing New Orleans. And here we are tied at 10-10 with 7:20 time remaining in the first half. 3rd down 5. 4 wide receivers. The defense says, where is number 82, Paul Skansu? And the throw is low to Lewis Clark. Bruscansky had come inside from the far side of the field, and he ran into coverage, and the pass is incomplete to Lewis Clark. So that means that Ruben Rodriguez will come in to kick. Elvis Patterson had the coverage for San Diego.
This defense for San Diego, one thing they can do very effectively is blitz that quarterback and rush the quarterback. They had good heat on Craig on that play. They simply had to get the ball out of there and didn't have time to wait for another receiver to come open.
And we have whistles from the umpire. He comes forward and steps over the ball.
I think he's saying they're reviewing something. What would they be reviewing?
They can only review the last play, and the pass was incomplete. I didn't think there was any question on it, and obviously they are taking another look.
There he is.
And now he sits back. It's Hazard. It's time to go, and this will be the first kick. Harper Lubell is the snapper, and he is a good one. He'll fire it back. Dana Brinson is the return man. And we have whistles here, and that may be a 30-second or 45-second violation.
Chargers doing some jumping, trying to draw someone off sides, trying to get someone on that punt team to move. But Rusty Tillman has his punt team in a two-point stance, Charlie, so that they're allowed to move as long as they reset for the full second. I think what may have happened is the clocks may not have been reset. The 30-second clock may not have been reset. There's Rusty Tillman.
Delay by the offense, still 4th down.
Okay, they're going to penalize them anyway. I wonder if they, after whistling the play and stopping the play, the officials reset the clock. Charlie, I don't know if they did or not.
I'm not sure.
They did take a long time there, and it was the jumping by the San Diego defense. They're trying to adjust, and they'll probably do it again here. That man is wondering the same thing we're wondering, I think. There's the jumping. You see him right in the middle of your screen? Didn't get him this time.
Good pressure, but a great kick by Rodriguez, and Brinson backpedals and takes it at the 11-yard line. And he's in trouble. Good coverage by Seattle. The special teams came through for the Seahawks. 58 yards on the kick, a 5-yard return, and David Wyman
You don't get a better kick than that, Charlie, nor can you get better coverage.
56 yards on the punt by Ruben Rodriguez.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Coors Light, pure brewed in the Rockies. The silver bullet won't slow you down. It's the right beer now. By Honda, who invites you to test drive the new Accord. You have to drive it to believe it. And by Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on.
On that last kick, watch Rufus Porter here take away the backside. His speed is going to stop, and these other players are going to get the picket line in here, so that Brinson has nowhere to go. Look at this. He looks up, and after a 58-yard kick, he's got all kinds of coverage. It's Wyman, number 92, that finally makes the play. That is great special teams play.
McMahon comes out throwing again, this one to Anthony Miller. Miller to the 21-yard line, gain of 4, 2nd down and 6. Patrick Hunter with the tackle. McMahon with a penchant to throw on 1st down in this ballgame.
Well, I think it's a good idea. The Seattle Seahawks have been running a 4-man line to try and shut down the running game. Obviously, that means they're going to have to run some different defenses in the secondary. And McMahon, wanting to take advantage of that, has faked the run on a number of occasions and gone to the play-action pass.
2nd and 6. Seahawks with 5 in the secondary. They expect him to throw. And the quick out to Jamie Holland as Jamie is quickly out of bounds. Oh, he's greeted by a committee.
Charlie, we talk about a 4-man line. In this particular situation, what we have, whoops, what do we have here? All right, let's just turn that one loose. You pulled a little trick on me there, Larry. Gave me a different look than I had ordinarily. But they'd gone from a 3-man to a 4-man look, but with a linebacker down. There's the one I was talking about. This guy right here on the right-hand side is Tony Woods, a linebacker, dropped down in the three-point stance.
3rd down and 2. Miller in motion. And Miller has it. He's got the first down. Almost to the 40-yard line. Gain of 15. David Wyman makes the tackle. A reminder to of yours, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. Anthony Miller, that is his 4th reception of the ball game, and he has a total of 72 yards with just under 5.5 time remaining in the first half in a ball game that is tied at 10 between Seattle and San Diego. Here's Tim Spencer. He'll have 3 yards.
Tackle by number 53, Darren Como.
Darren Como making the tackle. We mentioned earlier from San Diego High School. We asked him about last night when we talked with him, Merlin, how many friends, how many tickets did he have to get? He said, not bad. He said only 15.
Oh, but he also said he had a friend who worked for the Chargers, and he was going to have him get the tickets because the Charger tickets were a lot better than the visiting players' tickets, which is true all over the league. They usually hide the visiting players' tickets behind a tree or somewhere.
2nd down. Play action fake. Double coverage as he goes deep, and it is incomplete to Anthony Miller. You know, you stated earlier that McMahon said he wanted to get Miller in the offense. He really meant that statement, didn't he?
Very seriously. Wanted to get the ball deep, too. They're really trying to stretch out this Seattle secondary. They've been able to do it. They have completed a couple of long passes so far today. I asked Anthony Miller, I said, what's the fastest you've ever run? He said, I ran a 4.2 at Tennessee. I said, 4.2. I said, I don't think that was in football shoes. He said, oh yeah, football shoes.
On grass or artificial turf?
No, on artificial turf. But I said, you've almost got to have a friendly coach to time that one. But he is
or a slow watch.
Or a slow watch. He can run. He can run.
3rd down. Incomplete.
Melvin Jenkins almost intercepted that ball, jumping in front of Jamie Holland right at the last second, timing the maneuver beautifully.
Jenkins defending for Seattle.
And McMahon's reaction.
For the Chargers.
Now, watch this punter. This is Hank Alisic, and he is a punch kicker. Punch punter.
A punch punter?
Punch punter. And watch his leg action.
His style is unique.
Low snap. Boom. He is good. And he gets off a terrible kick. But he gets a good roll. Sometimes it pays to be lucky. He got away with one. It goes down at the 11-yard line. Look at that grin.
You
the
better
Cheshire
smile.
Cat smile.
Smile, Hank.
46 yards, almost 40 on a roll.
Bad snap. Single-handed drop.
46 yards.
I think that snap really upset his rhythm on that one, Charlie.
First down, Seattle at the 11.
Average field position at the start of a drive, Seattle has been their own 30. This is their worst field position to start a drive in the ball game. They're at their own 11-yard line. John L. Williams. 14 yards. He can run, he can receive, and he can block.
I asked John L. Williams, I said, John L., have you ever thought about being in a one-back offense? Because this San Diego offense, for example, would be perfect for the talents of a John L. Williams. He said, I have thought about it many times. But, of course, he's never had the opportunity. What a great talent he is. 4 rushes today and already 30 yards.
Grossman with the tackle, first down at the 25. And here's Kurt Warner. Just a couple of yards to the 27. It'll be second down and 8. Gary Plummer with the tackle. Kurt Warner doesn't seem if he's running with the abandon of years past.
Well, I think what's happened to Warner, the leg and ankle injuries have taken their toll on him. And when he came into this league, he made more people miss than any other back in the league, perhaps except Freeman McNeil. Now, unfortunately, his ability to avoid those tacklers is falling off. He doesn't have that great leg strength anymore. He's not making as many people miss these days.
And so it compounds itself as the beatings continue. Craig, deep drop, drops himself underneath to John L. Williams. Good move. And he goes to the 40-yard line. A gain of 13 and the first down as Figueroa makes the tackle.
Dave Craig playing so well, and he really, since his injury here and his chance to sit down and watch things for a while, watch him here. He looks downfield until the last possible second, and having looked off the defense, gets it into the hands of the sure hands of a running back, and John L. Williams does the rest of it.
Craig reading deep receiver, middle receiver, and then short receiver. And he goes deep. The defense is there. It is intercepted. Gil Byrd with the interception. He was playing Brian Blades perfectly. Craig should not have thrown that one.
That one was up for grabs. And one of the responsibilities of a quarterback is to make good decisions.
San Diego has the turnover. The Chargers will be moving on offense with 2 minutes to go in the half. Welcome back to Jack Murphy Stadium, where San Diego will have the ball. Merlin, one of the things that we see more and more of, we used to see always the 3 and the 4-point stance, and now we see a lot in passing situations of the blocking of the offensive line, the 2-point stance where they're up here. What's the reason for that?
Well, they're already in position to block, Charlie. The philosophy is very simple. If you're down on a 3-point stance, you've got to bounce up and get yourself set to take on that on-rushing defensive lineman. You start in the 2-point stance, you're already in position to block, and you have time to watch that defensive lineman come out of his stance. You get a better chance to read his move, his motion, and supposedly you're all set. The disadvantage is that you may get a little too high, and sometimes you'll get overpowered in that situation. But both these teams using that 2-point stance effectively.
McMahon from the 30, and here's a screen back to the near side, and it is dropped by Dana Brinson, and he had pressure, and the pressure was coming from Jacob Green.
McMahon not happy with Dana Brinson. It was Brinson who batted that ball up in the air that was intercepted by Como early. I think McMahon feeling that the young rookie perhaps feeling the pressure of this ball game, not playing as well as he'd like him to.
Now, when we talked to him yesterday, though, he didn't show a lot of pressure, though, did he? He's kind of a fascinating young man.
Charlie, Saturday it's easy to hide the pressure. Sunday it's a little different package.
Miller in motion and McMahon to throw. Back underneath the coverage, and that's Joe Caravello, the H-back who is becoming this ballgame at least one of his favorite receivers.
Well, the scouting report on Caravello is don't worry about his hands. That's his third catch of the day.
3rd down and 1. A quick look at the ticker and a hurry-up offense.
Damn. Oof. There's Brinson.
Boy, Brinson lowered his head, came back up and lowered it again, and he'll pick up a yard to the 40. Now, he needed just about a half a yard. Let's see where they spot it. They have it signaled. They moved the ball in. They said it's not a first down.
They're going to call a timeout, and they've asked for a measurement, but...
Timeout.
This is only going to be a 40-second timeout, stopping the clock with 1:14.
Well,
time remaining.
Not going to measure, Charlie.
I'm surprised. I thought it was closer than that, didn't you?
Maybe in the spot. But that was Jeff Bryan at 6'5" and 268 that hit Brinson at 5'9", 167. And you'd think that Brinson would be the one to go down. He simply popped, bounced back, and picked up a little bit of yardage.
Now the situation is 4th down and a couple of inches to go. If you're San Diego, do you kick or do you gamble?
Well, I think in your own 40-yard line, you perhaps just go ahead and kick. Here's Brinson. There's the pop right there. Jeff Bryan, and he had him well back behind the line. It's a great job by Brinson to get close, but they did a good job on the spot. He was not up to the line, and now they're going to kick it away, Charlie. I didn't think they would gamble on that one.
Hank Olisic comes in.
Let's see if that unique style can produce a better kick. One-hand drop, punch-style kicker. Let's see if he goes to the sideline. Oh, no,
They go to the up back, and they have the first down.
Gary Plummer. Boy, you give the linebacker a chance, he becomes a running back. Tearing a page out of Rusty Tillman's book, you learn to look at Seattle for those innovations on special teams. They took advantage of them here. Good play, San Diego.
McMahon steps out of the pocket. Now he throws it away. He was out of time. It'll be second down and 10. The ball at the 45-yard line. Holland the closest receiver. Let's go back to Gary Plummer, now running back Gary Plummer.
Running back Gary Plummer. Here he is, right in the middle of your screen. They're going to snap the ball directly here instead of back to the punter, and Plummer just going to come right up the middle behind some good blocking in here. Watch them open it up inside. Good job of blocking. That's almost like a line play for Plummer. And I wonder what his average is now as a running back.
5 yards.
Well, maybe he's got one in high school or college.
Oh, you mean entire
In
living
total.
career in
In
total.
total.
Brinson grabs it and pulls it down. Charges with the hurry-up offense. 30 seconds and counting.
Not allowing Seattle to get their secondary adjustments on the field.
Third down and 5. Here's Brinson. He gets out, stops the clock. He has the first down. 15 seconds is the time remaining in the first half in a tie ball game.
23, Patrick Hunter down on one knee.
Now both ball clubs with 2 timeouts remaining. Oh, Hunter is really hurting. So we'll have an injury timeout.
Timeout number 2 for Seattle.
They're going to take a full timeout. And they will have 1 timeout remaining. Be sure to stay with us at halftime for NFL Live Halftime. Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, the scores and highlights and the story behind all of the numbers that we've been giving you, including Bo Jackson. He has a touchdown and his first touchdown of the year for the Los Angeles Raiders. They, by the way, lead Kansas City by a score of 10-7 at last report. Here we're tied at 10-10, Seattle and San Diego. And next week, here on NBC, starting with NFL Live at 12:30, most of you to see the Raiders against the Eagles, and the second game, Denver at Seattle. So a pair of good ball games next week here on NBC. The sun is out. It's a gorgeous day in San Diego. Temperature now climbing into the 70s. Just a little bit of a breeze. The wind not a major factor in the ball game.
Is the weather always this nice here, Charlie?
Just an average, ordinary day in paradise. Yeah.
Better be careful. Everybody, it's raining in the north. They're liable to head this direction.
A lot of people continue to head this direction. A lot of people head to Seattle, though. It's one of the great cities in America.
Look out.
Pressure from behind. Ball knocked away, and it is recovered by the Seahawks.
Rufus Porter, 97. The speed from the corner pays off. Coming in from the backside, and he makes a smart play. Just reached in and batted that ball out of the hands of Jim McMahon. And Jacob Green, number 79 there. Rufus Porter, watch him. Bottom of your screen, 97. He'll sneak in behind McMahon. Watch his hand. Right there. Bats the ball away. Keep it going. Now you got Jacob Green coming on the backside to pick it up. Oh, that is great play from Rufus Porter and great alertness on the part of Jacob Green. That's why they love the speed of this young man off the corner. He's not big, though. He's a tiny linebacker.
Seattle from their own 49-yard line. 6'1", 207. That is tiny for a linebacker. Craig wanted to go deep. He drops it off underneath. 1 second, and then out of bounds is John L. Williams. But as he steps out, we run out of time in the first half.
This is from the Bernie Kosar sidearm school that Dave Craig throws this one. Watch this pass. Overarm? No. Little flipped sidearmer right there at the last possible second. He's saying, hey, timeout. Well, yes, we're going to have a timeout, but it's halftime.
And at halftime, it is Seattle 10 and San Diego 10. Good first half.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race. NFL halftime activities will continue after these messages from your local station.
This is Charlie Jones along with Merlin Olsen back at Jack Murphy Stadium, where the sun is shining in San Diego. It is shining equally on the Seattle Seahawks and the San Diego Chargers, because here at halftime in a very good ball game, we are tied at 10. We look forward to the second half. Both quarterbacks with hot hands today. That being, of course, Dave Krieg and Jim McMahon. Again, halftime. It is tied at 10. Seattle and San Diego. Will be right back after these messages from your local station.
Welcome back to those of you watching the Seattle-San Diego game. Bob Costas in New York, and let's go rapidly now through all the scores. Denver playing at home, leading Indianapolis. They've just started the second half at 7-3. They held the Colts to 2 first half first downs. The Raiders on a 2-yard touchdown run by Bo Jackson in the second quarter, leading as they go to the third period in the Coliseum, 10-7 over Kansas City. But let's not overstate what Bo has done. 7 carries for 10 yards in the first half. In the game you're watching, even up at 10, halftime in San Diego. They've also gone half in Phoenix with the Cardinals in front of Philadelphia on a safety and a field goal, 5-0. Each team has turned the ball over 4 times in the first half. 5 turnovers for Cleveland, including 3 Bernie Kosar interceptions. They were guilty of only 4 turnovers all season through 5 weeks coming into this game, and they're trailing 3-0 just before halftime at home against the Steelers, who are playing much better ball of late. The Jets are in front of New Orleans 7-6. James Hasty just ran in an interception, 34 yards for a touchdown. Kyle Mackey at quarterback for the Jets in place of the ineffective Ken O'Brien. He hasn't gotten the Jet offense started either, but on the defensive touchdown they lead, offsetting the 2 Morton Anderson field goals, 7-6. Now, these are finals from earlier today. The Houston Oilers had only won 10 of their previous 62 road games. They were underdogs, of course, at Soldier Field against the Bears, but they scored the last 14 points and they win 33-28. The Bears turned it over 6 times, including 4 Mike Tomczak interceptions. Tomczak also threw for 3 touchdowns, but the 4 INTs really hurt. Here's the game-winning score for Houston, just inside the 2-minute warning, set up by Alan Pinkett's 60-yard run from scrimmage and capped off by Lorenzo White's 12-yard scoring run to make it 33-28. Afterward, we checked out Mike Ditka's post-game press conference.
When you have teams like we play, we make people great players. So there'll be a couple guys that will take one step closer to the Hall of Fame because they played against the Bears today. And am I aggravated? Yes, I'm aggravated, because I don't remember feeling this bad in 1982 when I knew we couldn't play football. Now, I don't know if we're capable of winning another football game. I don't think we are at this point.
Whew, Iron Mike, mincing no words, 33-28 Oilers. Elsewhere, Miami down 13-3 at the half. They rally to win at Riverfront, Cincinnati's first home loss since 1987. 2013 Dolphins. The Giants sweep their head-to-head series with the Skins this year. They do it by a field goal, 20-17 at the Meadowlands. Atlanta beats New England 16-15 on Paul McFadden's 22-yard field goal with 9 seconds to play. Earlier, New England had missed an extra point following a Doug Flutie touchdown pass. It turned out to be the difference in the game. Joe Montana didn't play in Dallas. Steve Young filled in, threw for 2 scores. San Francisco 5-1, 31-14 over Dallas. The Cowboys are 0-6. Actually, the game was fairly close until midway through the third quarter. Detroit, on Rodney Pete's 5-yard scoring run on a 4th down situation with 23 seconds to play, upsets Tampa in Tampa 17-16 over the Bucs. And what a day for Herschel Walker in his Viking debut. He carries 18 times at the Metrodome for 148 yards. Minnesota beats Green Bay 26-14. In the process, they sacked the Packer quarterback Don Majkowski 8 times, 4 of them by Keith Millard, who leads the league individually with 12 sacks, 26-14. Minnesota. Now we send you back to San Diego. We rejoin our announcers there, Charlie Jones and Merlin Olsen. Enjoy the second half, everybody.
Welcome back to Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. It's halftime where the ball game is tied at 10-10. When the ball game opened and we had 2 outstanding drives, albeit one of them penalty driven, and we had early scores by both the Seahawks and the Chargers, it looked as if we were going to be in for a high-scoring ball game. Hasn't turned out that way in the first half.
Well, we got the scores early, and Charlie, you hit it right on the head. The scores, both of the touchdowns, were heavily weighted by penalties. That first drive by the Chargers helped by a lot of penalties on the Seahawks, who had a chance to shut that drive down. And of course, San Diego had Seattle stopped in a brilliant goal line stand, only to be penalized for a holding call, allowing Warder a chance to get into the end zone. So both defenses have played pretty well in spite of the amount of yardage here picked up in this first half, and it's like starting over.
Yeah.
When you're 10-10 at the half, I mean, you just go in and you take a deep breath and say, hey, basically it's 0-0. Let's get out there and let's take charge of this game.
Let's go back early part of the first half to San Diego's first touchdown.
Well, not a big deal as you watch this one go in, but Cox just pulls a little push off here and happens to put Vernon Maxwell on the ground, and it looks like nobody is even bothering to cover him. There's a frustrated Maxwell, number 50, walking over, but he had just been bounced to the ground trying to control him. The second touchdown, Charlie, here's the jump by Warner. He jumped 2 or 3 times before without getting into the end zone, and finally over the top and into the end zone.
Also, the interesting part about the San Diego touchdown is that this is the same play that Kansas City used in their ball game against Seattle, and they were successful with it. And earlier, Philadelphia had used it against Seattle. So that's what happens when teams continue to run the same play. It's successful. And do you draw as a defensive player a mental block?
Now, Charlie, I think what happens is that any time a team is successful with a play against you, other teams look at that and say, well, let's file that one, because they'll probably come back with that same play. It's like having a punt block. When that happens, you're going to see it till you stop it.
All right, let's look at the statistics in the first half right after the kickoff, because they're all set to go. And Chris Barr, well, here's time for the halftime stats.
As the kickoff for the Chargers, Chris Barr.
Wade to the Chargers side, but the big one is 10-10. As we start the second half at the 11-yard line, here is Harris on the return. And he returns to the 24.
Kick taken at the 10-yard line by number 33, Elroy Harris.
Chance to take another quick glance at those halftime statistics, Charlie, and I think the one number that would jump out at you is the 117 yards passing, as the Chargers were able to get the ball deep to Anthony Miller on a couple of occasions. Both these teams running the ball with about the same effectiveness. The Seahawks, of course, had 22 yards rushing from their number one duo of Williams and Warner last week. 42 here in this first half.
So not a vast improvement in that department. Here's John L. Williams, who has been a bright light in the offense thus far for Seattle. You mentioned a one-back offense. Would Chuck Knox go to a one-back offense with him?
Chuck Knox likes his offense, basically, and it's not a one-back offense. It's based basically on the running game, and the one-back offense is a pass-driven offense. That's what Dan Henning wants to establish here in San Diego.
2nd and 6 at the 28. Opening drive, second half, ball game tied at 10. And here is Kurt Warner with a couple of yards to the 30, and it's going to be 3rd down and 4. Lee Williams with the tackle.
A stop by Lee Williams.
I keep looking for Kurt to break one open.
Well, I think Kurt is looking to break one open, and I think sometimes backs who like to jump and look for that big run, Charlie, end up doing more jumping than running.
So it'll be 3rd down and 4. And Craig will operate from the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Looks right, has protection, completes the pass at the 39-yard line to Scansey, and he is dropped immediately by Lester Lyles, but it is a 1st down.
Pass complete. Number 82.
Another one of those 3rd down situations as Scansey just comes down, and this is not a good pass thrown behind Scansey, but Scansey able to turn back, and you've got to be a good receiver to be able to roll back into that kind of pass, keep your concentration, take a hit, and still hang on to the football.
1st down averages for Seattle. Now look at the pass. Seattle 9.8, San Diego 5.3.
You mentioned earlier that San Diego have been passing effectively on 1st down, and those are the numbers.
Incomplete. Good pass in and out of the grasp of Lewis Clark. The Chargers had double coverage.
If that 1st down pass had been successful, those numbers would have jumped almost to an equal footing here. Sammy Seal coming off a shoulder injury, getting help from Vincey Glenn, number 25, and they just did a sandwich job on Lewis Clark, keep him from catching that pass.
2nd and 10, the ball at the 39-yard line. This one sails, but is caught as Blades goes up at the 42-yard line and pulls it down 19 yards, and he saved that one.
Ball looked to get away from Craig a little bit. The Blades, who has become the receiver of choice in the absence of Steve Largent, shows you why. You're absolutely right, Charlie. That ball might have been intercepted had it gone over his head, but Blades is an exceptional athlete. That's a fine catch.
Vincey Glenn and Gil Bird were there. Now Seattle with 3 wide receivers. First down at San Diego, 42-yard line. This is behind Scansey. Was that tipped?
I think that ball
was
tipped.
tipped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Craig would not like you to say he threw that bad a pass.
No, I didn't think
that ball was nowhere near the receiver. See if we can see who tipped it. It might have been Bert Grossman, number 92. Yes, that's who tipped it right there. 92 Bert Grossman just reached up, and the young rookie who is starting to use some of that 4.75 speed, starting to utilize some of that great ability. He hasn't had the kind of start he wanted so far in this season.
2nd and 10. Warner. And Warner goes out with his longest gain of the ball game. His previous long gain was 6 yards, and this was 9.
Charlie, this play designed to come right up inside and to work on this combination here. But Warner just starts up inside, doesn't see it, so he breaks out to the outside. Watch it here now. Warner looks inside, gets a commitment by Joe Phillips to the other side with a good fake. And then using that quickness, and I said he's not as quick as he used to be, he's still quick.
And Warner on the ball.
Recovered by Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner recovers it. That was 3rd down and 1, and so the kicking team will come in, and Norm Johnson, who has converted from 50 yards out, will try and break the stymie. They know it's Rodriguez. They're going to punt from there.
Well, that's a little long.
Yeah, it would have been a 55-yard attempt without a helping wind. I don't know. What do you think? I think I would have tried it.
Can you kick it that far?
No. I can't walk with it that far.
Maybe they're going to try the fake. No, they'll kick it away. Good
This is
kick.
a good one. Yes,
Good kick.
Oh, the follow Seattle has the ball. Dana Brinson with the fair catch, does not catch it, and Nesby Glasgow recovers.
We've seen a couple of critical errors by Brinson. He misjudged that football, bounces it into the hands of the alert Nesby Glasgow, and the special teams for the Seahawks have been dominant so far in this game. Great coverage, and they come up with a big play here. Ball up the 16-yard line. Hell, and we talked about the takeaways. They're picking them up in this ball game. 3 big takeaways so far this ball game. They started with 8. They now have 11.
And the ball just outside the San Diego 15-yard line. And here's Warner. And he's in trouble. He salvages about 3 of them, and we got a flag down. You've got
late
to know,
hit.
You got to know where the sideline is.
Charlie, the players know where it is. They really know where it is, and that's a stupid play. Man's out of bounds. He's not going to get any more yardage. Leave him alone.
As a defensive player, are you always aware where they are?
You better be. You better be. I was aware where that line was. I think there are some players who are less aware than others.
Unnecessary roughness. Hit out of bounds. Half the distance to the goal. Number 51. First down.
It's on Cedric Figueroa.
Let's watch and see how far. Well, you got to be kidding me.
Oh.
Not only out of bounds, but a yard and a half out of bounds before he even contacted him. Ron Lynn will have a good conversation with Figueroa after this game. You don't make that kind of play.
You have to let up. As soon as he's over there, you've got to start coming off of the play.
Even if bump him, if you're backing off, they're not going to throw the flag.
So the ball goes to the 9-yard line. It's first down. And here's John L. John L goes to the 6. And it'll be second down. So a pair of costly mistakes by San Diego. First the fumble, or in reality it's called a muff because he never had possession, but the touching and then the recovery by Glasgow. And then the penalty on Figueroa, and Seattle right in the shadows of the goalpost. You like that, shadows of the goalpost? I've been saving that one.
That shadow is dropping. Well, there is a shadow.
See,
there. You're right. You're right. I do like that.
All right.
Touchdown.
And Craig sidearmed another one to John L. Williams, 6 yards. Tell you, Craig is using everything at his disposal.
Well, sometimes you'd like your quarterback to use that classic overhand motion. But when he throws touchdowns, he can throw them underhand if he wants to.
Like rolling the dice.
What a nice play. Charlie, you talked about the soft hands, those big soft hands. John L. Williams using them there.
Norm Johnson adds the point after. And it is Seattle 17 and San Diego 10. And John L. Williams and his touchdown will take us to the break.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right. By Michelob Dry, bold taste with no aftertaste. Mick Dry refreshes completely. And by Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time.
Norm Johnson, who just added the point after, will be kicking off. Darrell Usher, number 26. Jamie Holland, number 86. Are the return men for San Diego. Oh, he sails this beauty. Holland downs it in the end zone where the touchback will bring it out to the 20-yard line. San Diego now needs to regroup. A series of mistakes have been very costly.
Well, again, they're starting deep in their own territory. The result of a fine kick by Norm Johnson, and McMahon looking at 80 yards of green. He had a couple of long drives so far in this game. They need to get one going here. They want to get back in the ballgame.
Spencer, the remaining back. Carvello is the H-back, and he is the motion man. McMahon again throwing on first down, and this pass is complete. As he goes to Jamie Holland, Wayne Harper had the coverage.
Jamie Holland getting a lot of work today as Quinn Early is on the sideline. Holland with good hands, good moves. Here he is working on Dwayne Harper, number 29. Gets Harper to turn, almost gets his back turned, and then respecting that speed has a difficult time getting back. Harper a little early getting out of his back pedal on that play.
First down just outside the 30-yard line. McMahon dumps it over the middle. This is Tim Spencer, back-to-back first down. 11 yards to the 42. Darren Como with the tackle.
I asked Jim McMahon if he likes this offense. He said, I like this kind of offense. It's a Pickett kind of offense. And McMahon has always been that kind of quarterback. He'll take whatever is available down there. He'll pick you by finding the open receiver. There's 43, right-hand side of your screen. And look how open he is as he finds the hole in that zone. Como comes in from the outside. You get a lot of help, but that's a little late coming. You need somebody there in time to bat that ball away.
First down. 3 passes in a row. This is high and incomplete. Holland, the intended receiver. Patrick Hunter with the coverage.
Receivers tend to come back and talk to a quarterback after this kind of play. He stretches him out. That ball gets away from him a little bit, goes high. And watch the shot right there as he is vulnerable. Takes a pop by Patrick Hunter, number 23.
And Eugene Robinson catches him in the ribs coming across where he's wide open. We've got an injury timeout. 8:31, time remaining, third quarter. Seahawks lead by 7. We'll be back in a moment. 8:31, time remaining, third quarter. Seattle 17, San Diego 10. The Chargers had the ball at their own 42-yard line and second down.
Jamie Holland, by the way, walked off the field. Apparently is all right. Will be back in the lineup, I'm sure. Wayne Walker in on this play.
Novello in motion. Dana Brinson to the 48-yard line, gain of 6. It'll be third down and 4. Patrick Hunter makes the tackle.
Courtney Hall, number 53, one of the youngest player in the NFL, using those good, strong hands to work on Jeff Bryant, number 77. And Hall, Charlie, that is such a difficult position. At center is the quarterback of that offensive line. He's got a lot of responsibilities before he even begins to do his job as a physical athlete, working on the man in front of him.
And notice the tackles, the outside blockers in that two-man stance that Merlin talked about earlier.
Sack.
And Jacob Green gets the sack. Second sack of the ball game, Seattle.
Green, who recovered that fumble earlier on that bat away by Porter, is going to come in from the left-hand side of your screen. Number 79, McMahon does not feel him coming from the backside, and that ball was loose momentarily as Green also trying to strip that ball away from McMahon.
Hank Olisic will be kicking. This is his second punt. Third time he's been in punt formation. Remember when they went to the up back and he picked up the first down, that was Plummer. Not that good a kick. Taken end over end at the 20, out to the 30, the 35 is James Jefferson on the return. 36 yards on the kick, and half of that came back, 18 yards on the return.
7.
Well, a Canadian kicker kicking to a Canadian kick returner.
50, Gary Plummer, 37 yards on the...
I'll in and give you a report for Scores Plus.
Yes,
have you called him yet? I asked you that last week.
I haven't called yet.
You got to call. I tell you, they got all kinds of reports. Go ahead.
This man has answered the call, Charlie. Leslie O'Neal. They're using him, the San Diego defense, using him much like Denver has used Carl Mecklenburg. We'll try and give you a feeling for the positions. He's at right end in a down position right now.
Seattle first down, their own 37-yard line. They lead in the ball game by 7. Here's John L. Williams. And he'll pick up the first down. He's going to move to the 49-yard line.
You had the feeling that Dave Craig was using the count again to get this San Diego offense off balance, and I've got a feeling
O'Neal and Green.
You'll see O'Neal leaning in. Watch him as he leans in as this play goes. Turn it loose, fellas. Now watch him. You see him, he's already jumped, and he's just ahead of the count, and in doing so, there's no way that he can really be under balance. I think they're biting on the count a little bit, Charlie.
They marked it at the 48-yard line, first down. John L. Williams again. And he's going to pick up 5 on the play. It'll be second down and 5.
Ticker, Charlie, no more talk. Ticker, do it.
Now let's check the 10-minute ticker. Denver continues to lead Indianapolis in the fourth quarter. That one is really moving right along. The Raiders in front of Kansas City. Philadelphia in front of Phoenix now, 7-5. Pittsburgh by 3. New Orleans continues to lead the Jets. They're all in the third quarter. And here it is Seattle 17, San Diego 10, with just over 6 minutes to go in the third.
Leslie O'Neal now all the way at the other end. He's lined up at the opposite end, all the way from right to left.
Kurt Warner. Close to the first down. He needed 5, and it looked as if he got it all.
Let's watch O'Neal come all the way around.
Fine play, Leslie O'Neal coming all the way from behind, number 91. Watch this good inside out, or outside in this case, pursuit, as he comes in to take Warner to the ground. So it is working, Charlie. They move him from the right end to the left end and get him into the action.
Now, when that happens, what does it do to the other linemen, to the other defenders? Do they have to adjust also?
Well, a lot of times we only hear about the man that moves. You've got to be an unselfish defense because all the other members who are moved out of a position, for example, when Leslie moves to left end, somebody else has to move away from that position. So this whole defense has to do a lot of thinking. It's not only a chance for O'Neal to be a star, but it's a chance for a whole defense to do something that's very important here.
66 is eligible. 66.
Andy Heck is in as a tight end. The announcement made that he is an eligible receiver because he will be on the end of the line.
Here's O'Neal again. He's moved in a little bit from the end position. He's now inside of that tackle, and it's a fumble.
Craig recovers his own fumble as he had a problem taking the snap from center.
Charlie, 3 different plays. Leslie O'Neal lined up in 3 different positions, but that ball never got back from the center Fiesel into Craig's hands. He did a good job of covering it and saving it, but they're going to have to kick it away.
So Ruben Rodriguez will be kicking to Dana Brinson, and Brinson with the muff the last time he was in this situation, and I know that weighs on your mind.
Well, they haven't taken him out. I think that's good. They want to give him a chance to play his way back into favor here. They're going to kick it to him again. No, somebody else will get this one. Bird is going to get that one.
Fair catch is taken on the far side by Gil Bird. 28 yards on the kick. We've got a timeout. It's Seattle 17 and San Diego 10. We'll be back in just a moment.
Because at GTE, the power is on.
Leading money winner Payne Stewart, Curtis Strange, and a field of golfing greats tee off at the Walt Disney World Oldsmobile Classic next Saturday on NBC.
Welcome back to San Diego. You're looking at Quinn Early. We saw him on the sideline a little earlier.
And one with a hat on,
yes,
and the glasses.
And he's inactive, but he's not limping. He's moving around, with great ease.
Charlie had his knee scoped. They went in there with a new scope, but it's a new needle-type scope that's like a big hypodermic needle. They can go in and look around and see if there's any damage. I saw him yesterday in the locker room. He was limping a little bit today. I saw him walking through there. He said, hey, I think I could play today. So it's amazing what they're doing now. They've really come a long ways with the medical techniques, and they're giving these athletes a chance to come back quicker and quicker all the time.
That surgery that took place on Friday, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
San Diego with the first down. And Spencer gets the call.
The old surgery, and I'm not talking about that old, going back to the time that I was playing. Once you opened up the knee, you were looking at least at 6 weeks minimum, and often 9 weeks. These players able to come back from this arthroscopic surgery often in 7 or 8 days, and with this new technique, perhaps even quicker.
The ball at the 26-yard line. Joey Howard has replaced Joe Patton at offensive tackle.
Patton still suffering from that knee. We saw him re-injure early in this ballgame.
San Diego trailing by 7. Spencer to the 30. The third down is still a couple to go. Third quarter offensive plays prior to this series. Actually, we can now include this series. Seattle 16 offensive plays in the second half, and San Diego has run only 7. And removing on the 3.5-minute mark, time remaining in the third. Brinson, the remaining back. There as a receiver, and McMahon can run for it, and he's got it, and he goes sliding to the 35 and has the first down.
One thing you don't question is Jim McMahon's courage. Never been afraid to run with that football. He sees an opportunity to pick up that first down, and he will go for it. He's still learning this offense. Charlie feels very comfortable with it. Yeah, well, those
8-yard average in all that Chevy.
I wouldn't laugh at those numbers.
And both first downs.
You bet. Those are the important stats. We talked about the importance of turnovers. 3 turnovers today, and the end result 10 points for Seattle. You don't think they're important? Wow.
And here is the reverse to Holland, and Seattle is waiting for it. Vernon Maxwell and Nesby Glasgow were saying, come on, hurry and run it, because we're waiting here. And by the way, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the San Diego Chargers and the National Football League is prohibited. Today's game, the property of the National Football League, Seattle Seahawks, and San Diego Chargers, all rights reserved.
Charlie, that same play run earlier was a fake that went for long yardage to Anthony Miller. And I think they thought that the defense would remember that. Defense had a short memory. They said, we got this one.
McMahon over the middle to Caravello. And Caravello, that is his 4th reception of the game.
He had 2 catches in the first 5 games.
This must be a career-high game. In his entire career, though, in the National Football League, well, it's not that long. This is his 3rd year. But he has never scored a touchdown. I don't know. They're going to him more. He may get one this year before the season's over. Third down and 6. The man's in trouble. And a flag is thrown way downfield. Now, Brinson was the intended receiver, but there was a receiver past him. That was Anthony Miller, and he was about 10 yards further downfield.
I think there was a holding call against Seattle's defense. They brought Anthony Miller across in motion, and as he cut upfield, looked like somebody grabbed him, Charlie.
Holding, number 23 on the defense, first down.
It's on Patrick Hunter.
Right-hand corner of your screen, right over in here, you get a chance to see it. It's already gone by. There it is. There it is. There it is. Right there.
And so once again, the Seattle Seahawks are hurt by the penalty. And San Diego is the first down. That was 3rd down and 6. San Diego would have been forced to kick.
Fake on the reverse.
This one does hold everybody in. The pass is complete to Marion Butts. Now, one thing to file away. His way on the far side is Jamie Holland, who was the reverse man, this time the fake man, and nobody picked him up. Oh, he was open. I mean, he was like open by 30 yards.
Jamie Holland waving his arms over there, but McMahon had wanted to get downfield to Anthony Miller again. Wanted to go for the deep strike. When he couldn't find it, came back to the next receiver that he had in sight. Short gain, 2nd and 8.
McMahon waves a receiver deep and then throws a little pattern on the right side to Wayne Walker.
He'll lose yardage on that play. He'll actually lose about a yard on that play. In fact, more than that, almost 2 yards. So they go from 2nd and 8 to 3rd and almost 10. This is a sidearm pass from McMahon. We saw a couple of sidearmers earlier from Craig. Watch this one, just whip. That's the kind of ball you ought to let go. It costs you yardage.
So it's 3rd down and 10. The numbers on Jim McMahon, 17 of 26.
Yes.
First down. Anthony Miller and James Jefferson was the nearest Seahawk. He needed 10, he got 12.
I asked Dwayne Harper about covering the speed of Anthony Miller. And I said, do you give him extra room? He said, you can't really give him too much room, but you saw the slip right there. Feet went right out from underneath him.
And so the ball at the 44-yard line of Seattle and a first down. Marion Butts, 2 yards to the 42. It'll be second down and 8 as the third quarter comes to a close. Seattle leads it 17-10. The official numbers through the first 3 quarters in Merlin, it's a toss-up. They're very even.
Well, a big number that we don't see there is the 3 turnovers.
Yes.
And that's the one that has provided the difference in this game.
San Diego has the ball, and they trail Seattle. The Seahawks lead it 17-10. And there's the turnovers, 3-1, and Seattle has taken advantage.
And of course, the one ball that Seattle turned over did not result in a score, but McMahon can get it in here. It's tied. He wants it.
And goes deep, and is incomplete. Anthony Miller, the intended receiver, he wanted the flag, but Dwayne Harper had excellent coverage on him, and Eugene Robinson was there with him.
We've seen them break the patterns off short on Harper. Now Miller just breaks it deep, and there is some bumping going on there.
But there's a key. There's a key. If we can look at the end of that again, notice the head of Dwayne Harper. He's looking back at the ball. And as long as he looks back at the ball, long as both heads are looking back at the ball, the officials are not going to call that as interference, because there's an equal right to the ball. In reality, you're both receivers at that point.
Charlie, that's the rule, and you're right. I think that's what they were looking at there, but you got to be very careful.
Oh, yes.
You knock him off, they may still call it.
Third down and a great reception as Brinson goes up to pull it down. Jefferson had the coverage. And now let's go to Bob Costas in New York, NFL Live, and an update. Bob?
Charlie, we told you earlier about Herschel Walker's 148 yards on 18 carries. Here's his first play from scrimmage as a Minnesota Viking. The handoff from Tommy Kramer, big hole, but then he does the rest himself, splitting defenders 47 yards until he throws a shoe. Otherwise, he might have gone all the way. Tim Harris caught him from behind. Vikings beat Green Bay 26-14.
What was it? For a lack of a shoe, a kingdom was lost?
Oh, yeah, I thought only horses threw shoes.
I did too. Thank you, Bob. Here's Hank Olisic. Oh, now this is a great kick. Is he going to make it? Doesn't quite get it.
No.
Doesn't quite get it. But notice that punch, the spiral, and he aimed it right at the corner, just as if he was throwing the ball. We've got a timeout. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. If you didn't know, if you look at the 2 quarterbacks and now you look at the comparison of the numbers, could you tell which quarterback is leading?
Not from that, Charlie. Not from that. You certainly couldn't. And basically, both quarterbacks have had a pretty good day.
Yes, they have.
Been some impact plays made outside of their reach.
There's the score. The one on the left is leading.
Number 17.
Number 17,
I know him.
yes. From the 20-yard line, Seattle first down. Ooh. The ball, was it Blades with the reception? Was it tipped or just almost tipped on the far side by Martin Bayless?
Bayless had his hands on that ball, and I was just about to say, Charlie, that this San Diego defense is saying, hey, they've got 10 points that they picked up off the turnovers. Why can't we do the same?
The ball going out to the 27-yard line.
You can see Bayless almost grabbed the ball.
Number 44, Bayless, right here. Look at this. Just gets a touch on that ball. Well, we've seen Blades make some really great catches today. He has amazing concentration.
That's a tough catch to make. Once that ball changes the flight and starts to flutter just a little, and John L. Williams, he's going to flutter back to the line of scrimmage. He may lose a little on that.
Leslie O'Neal.
Gary Plummer.
Yes, Leslie O'Neal there.
If nothing happens, the full cigarette for the next play.
You like to get those big backs running sideways. And that's what they were able to do to John L. Williams on that play. Get him turned to the sideline. Then he can't use all that power on you.
3rd down and 3. 3rd down and 3, 4 wide receivers. Now they run the option here. The 2 inside receivers will go about 5 yards and either go inside or outside depending upon what the defense does. Now they overload the right side and they have a man open, wide open. That's Scansey. That's like a long handoff in reality. It's not that the type of play you can pass play and that they should run. No. It's like a long handoff. Very conservative and it works.
And it shows you the kind of security, the kind of confidence they have in Scansey. Scansey is going to come in motion. Ordinarily, they'll run him out of this slot position and run him inside. In this situation, he goes all the way to the outside. There's no one home for the defense. Finally, Elvis Patterson, number 24, comes over, but Scansey comfortably picking up the first down already.
Now he's converted 85% of his 3rd down opportunities this year, and he's converted 2 of 2 that I can remember right now.
He dropped one today that would have made it 3 for 3, Charlie. He dropped one.
Flag down. Kurt Warner, the ball carrier.
The one early that he should have caught.
Yeah.
Right down the middle of the field. It would have given them a great field position and a first down. And you know what's interesting about Paul Scansey? Trained by Largent, and I think he'll remember the one he dropped, not the one he caught today. There's several that he caught.
Trained by Largent. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Offside, number 75 on the defense, still first down.
Joe Phillips, the nose tackle offside.
If there is one receiver you would like young receivers to emulate, and there are several in the league, but the one that Scansey chose to adopt, and some say that Scansey is a clone of Largent. I think that's a real compliment. Does not have the quickness of a Largent, but he has really had an opportunity to use to the maximum every bit of talent that he has.
And you convert those numbers, 47 to 56, that's 85%. I did that earlier. I didn't do it.
That was good, Charlie.
I didn't do it now. Now, let's check all the scores. Let's go back first to the early ball games. Upset City again. Houston defeats Chicago. Now, you've got to raise that as an upset, but look at this. Miami 20, Cincinnati 13 in Cincinnati. The Giants over Washington by 3. New England, they should have beat Atlanta, but they didn't. They lose. San Francisco over Dallas, that's expected. Dallas is, they're 0 for the season. Detroit by 1, and Minnesota over Green Bay. In the 4th, Denver still 7-3. They haven't been scoring that since 13 minutes to go in the first half. We'll come back to finish up those right after this play. Got updates on everything that's going on. 2nd down. A flag is down. And so while the officials sort out the flag, we can run through the rest of the scores as we'll come back. We had an illustration is the call. All right, here we go. Denver 7-3. The Raiders, they're blowing out Kansas City. Now the Raiders are tied in that 4-way tie for 2nd place, so they're going to go into. They're still chasing Denver. Who knows what's going to happen there? Pittsburgh
number 28 on the
over
offense,
Cleveland,
still 2nd down.
and the Jets in New Orleans with the Saints leading that one.
Illegal motion on Kurt Warner, Charlie, and what is happening here? Craig is using a very long count to try and draw the San Diego defense off sides. They've been able to do that a couple of times, but on that play, he drew his own team offside. Or actually drew the motion from Warner.
Second and 8. All the time in the world. Intercepted. Vince Glenn.
Lots of time for Craig, but right at the last, he had pressure from Phillips. He fires an ill-advised pass, the 2nd time today that he's thrown into the heart of the coverage and been intercepted.
San Diego with the ball. They trail by 7.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. By the new generation of Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. And by Magnavox. Smart choices for smart people. Magnavox. Smart. Very smart.
From the beauty of that shot to an ugly shot if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, as Dave Craig throws right into the coverage. Vincey Glenn waiting on that ball. A bad decision, but Craig said they run some strange coverages. And I have to think that maybe that was one of those strange coverages. He saw one thing, and it was something entirely different.
Play action fake. McMahon goes deep to Miller, and it is intercepted at return. This is Eugene Robinson. Back-to-back interceptions. This one a one-hand grab, and the Seahawks have the ball. 19 yards on the return. Joey Howard with the tackle.
Back-to-back interceptions. This one looks like he's got some stickum on that big hand. They're trying to get the ball deep again to the speedster, but watch number 41, Eugene Robinson. Great anticipation. Watch this. One hand and sucks that ball in and then gets up and gets some running. McMahon is going to come in right at the end of this play. Well,
Watch McMahon. He got his thing snapped up.
here he is. He says, hey, I can't unhook yet. I'm still a part of the game. Put that chin strap back on and headed back into the action.
Kurt Warner.
Charlie, just a final aside, we talked to Eugene Robinson yesterday, and of course Robinson replaced by Johnny Johnson for a short time earlier in the season, and he felt that it was his anticipation, ball anticipation and aggressiveness that got him back into the lineup. Oh, that has certainly paid off for this Seattle defense here today.
Second down and 6.
Fourth turnover of the day.
Fourth turnover. Second and 5. Robert Tyler, the tight end, is the motion man. Dropped off in the left flat to John L. Williams.
Ooh.
Now for an update, let's go to New York and join Bob Costas. Bob?
He's hit by Sam Siegel.
Charlie, a couple of weeks ago, if I told you Bo Jackson was 11 for 85, you'd say he was in a horrible slump. But in the NFL, 11 carries for 85 yards is plenty good, especially when you haven't played in almost a year. In his return to the league, Jackson has gained 85 yards on 11 carries, including that 39-yard run against the Chiefs. And in the fourth, the Raiders lead KC 20-7. Charles?
Thank you, Robert.
Big numbers.
Isn't that amazing? That man is absolutely amazing. He may be the greatest athlete of the century. He really may. Do you agree?
I don't think I could do any of those things he does.
Well, you don't. Let's say Merlin doesn't disagree. We've got a timeout. We'll be back. The redhead in the middle of your screen is Billy Joe Tolliver. This year, the Chargers' quest for a quarterback has certainly been solved. As you know, Jim McMahon is the starter, came from the Chicago Bears. He is 30. Mark Vlasic, who's on injured reserve, is 26. He'll be back next year. Billy Joe Tolliver, he is 23. He was awesome in preseason. He really brings a different dimension to this ball club, and he could be activated next week.
Eligible to come off. He said, hey, I'm going to be out of jail pretty quick. He wants to play some football.
He's going to be a good one. Craig drops it. Oh, right in the hardest catch to pass, hardest pass to catch. You start playing your mind plays game.
Yeah,
how much yardage? Touchdown? Is it there? Where are they? What am I going to do? Smile for the photographers. Is it 6 points? And then you pick it up off the ground.
Nothing at this point. Well, that's a nice pass by Craig, too. And that's a hard pass to throw. He's coming forward and throwing to a receiver who's sprinting and very close to him. Threw it in there with some good touch on it. The ball still dropped.
Craig's having another good ball game.
He is. He's had 11 good ball games back-to-back. And Charlie was here in this stadium last year in September that he had that shoulder messed up. And he talked about the fact that sitting for those 6 weeks really made a big difference to him.
Here's pressure.
Ooh, almost blocked.
Gets it off. Rodriguez does. Brinson takes it at the 17.
Great coverage again.
Yes. 42 yards on the kick. Excellent special teams coverage by Seattle. Be sure to join us next Sunday. We've got a football doubleheader starting at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL Live. The Philadelphia Eagles host Bo Jackson and the Raiders, and Bo is back. No question about that. In the second half of the doubleheader, the Seahawks will return home to the Kingdome to host John Elway and the Denver Broncos. That's all next Sunday on NBC. Now, that's next Sunday. Next Saturday, we'll be down at Disney World just to visit with the characters. Mickey, I understand, is going to make a guest appearance with us.
Say hello to Minnie. Say hello to Minnie for me.
Oldsmobile Golf Classic. Final round coverage next Saturday. 3:30 Eastern time. Look forward to that. Great golf tournament. Spitzer is the remaining back, and he's the ball carrier. And he goes to the 21-yard line. Joe Nash makes the tackle.
Charlie, I'd just like to finish that comment about Dave Craig. When he went down in that game here last year, of course, sat on the bench and watched as Kelly Stopper, the young quarterback, came in and took his place. And he said that sitting down and being able to visualize the things that were expected of him and not to have the pressure allowed him to get a better focus on what he needed to do. And he has really come back and played much more consistent football as a result of it.
San Diego trailing 17-10. The margin 7. A little over 8 minutes remaining. Tim Spencer picks up the first down to the 29-yard line. Needed 6, he got 7.
Some excellent power running by Tim Spencer.
We talked in the first half about the sounds of football. Let's listen in.
And the speed of the game. That was played at normal speed. We try and show you very often replays at slow speed. You don't feel the speed and the collision impact of those collisions as much as you do when you see it at actual speed.
McMahon, downfield pass is complete to Miller. He's got the first down. He goes out just outside the 45-yard line.
Well, what kind of sound do the quarterbacks make when they get hit? We might find out here. Ooh. They say ow.
Or whoa. And then they make sounds in the huddle.
I'll tell you the one thing, though, when you complete the pass, it doesn't hurt nearly so much.
And Spencer, the ball carrier. And he's got a couple of yards. We'd now like to welcome those of you that have been watching the Indianapolis-Denver game. The final score there, Denver 14, Indianapolis 3, so the Broncos will remain atop the AFC West. Here, as you can see, just under 7 minutes to go, we've got a close one. Seattle leading 17-10. San Diego has the ball. Second down and 9 at their own 47-yard line. Pump fake.
Oh, great play.
And a great pass. Wayne Walker at the 24-yard line. McMahon showing a beautiful touch down the right side, 29 yards.
Charlie, the thing that makes this play work is the long arm fake by McMahon. Watch this, the fake right there, and the long arm action forced the bite by Dwayne Harper. No chance to recover. Eugene Robinson gets there. Here's the arm action. Watch the quarterback go by. The break, and he fakes that long arm action, pulls the defensive back up, and then delivers the ball over his head. That's a beautiful play by McMahon. Beautiful play.
And San Diego is a first down. They'll mark it at the 23-yard line of Seattle. Marion Butts is the running back, and he's the ball carrier. And he's going to have a yard to the 21. 2 yards to the 21. It'll be second down. The final that we talked about, Denver defeating Indianapolis. The Raiders leading Kansas City, so they'll stay 2 games back. Philadelphia in front of Phoenix comfortably 14-5 for Phoenix, a safety and a field goal. Pittsburgh shutting out Cleveland. That's another upset in the fourth. And New Orleans comfortably in front of the Jets in the fourth quarter by a score of 20-7. Here again, Seattle 17, San Diego 10, moving on the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Dana Brinson is now the H-back. He is the remaining back in this formation. McMahon, a timing pattern, and Miller cannot quite get to it. McMahon had pressure. Brinson was the blocker on the outside rusher, and he couldn't stop him.
Charlie, important to mention here that Brett Miller and Joel Patton, the starting tackles, out of the ball game. James Fitzpatrick, Joey Howard have had to go in there. They've done a good job inside along with Courtney Hall and Richards and Thompson. McMahon, with time, hit at the last second by Maxwell, the linebacker.
And he was the man Brinson couldn't stop.
Had he been there a second longer, if he could have waited a second longer, might have been able to complete that pass because the receiver was coming open.
Now Brinson at that H-back slot replaces Rod Bernstein, who's out with a knee injury, and he's giving away about 5 inches and 50 pounds. McMahon throws underneath the coverage. It's Anthony Miller, makes a good inside move, and this kid crawls to the 5-yard line. A total of 17. First down and goal to go for the tie. 5.5 time remaining.
We talked about what Anthony Miller can do after he catches the ball. This play, after the catch, is the most important part. He didn't have the first down until he broke away from that first defender and sprinted down inside. Well, they said they wanted to get the ball to Anthony Miller to utilize his speed. They've done a good job.
First down, goal to go, 5-yard line. Moving on the 5-minute mark, time remaining. Spencer, the remaining back. Caravello in motion. Here's Spencer. He's got about half of it.
Seeing that Denver score, both of these teams were hoping that Denver would lose that game today. But with Denver's win, they're 2 games back. One of them hopes to be at least 2 games back. Although I guess conceivably it could end in a tie, Charlie, if it went through the overtime and out. But San Diego right now looking to make it a tie on the board. They've got to get it into the end zone to do so.
And the crowd reaction to Marion Butts, who is in along with Tim Spencer. Butts has scored 6 touchdowns this year, and he dives for 7. Touchdown drive. And now Chris Barr out of the hold of David Archer. Chris Gannon, the snapper. This is for the tie. It's no good.
The Seattle Seahawks have made a living over the years blocking kicks. Let's see if we can pick out, I believe it's Jeff Bryant, 77, right in the middle of your screen as he breaks through. There he is, right here. Jeff Bryant, 77, right in the middle of your screen, reaching up and getting that big hand on it right there. Boy, that is such a huge play, and you just felt the emotion fall out of this crowd as they realize now that instead of being tied as they had anticipated, they're 1 down.
And it's Seattle 17, San Diego 16. The time remaining is 4:14. Go back to the score.
Go back and look at that touchdown, Charlie. Caravello, number 46, in motion. Tim Spencer is going to break in behind to block, but this is just Marion Butts and raw power as he drives right over the top of the defenders and into the end zone. Last week it was Christian Okoye, a 260-pound back. That's a 250-pound back. They're not easy to stop.
Barr kicks off, and here's Jefferson on the return from the 5. Outside the 20, he fumbles.
Fumble.
And a scramble for the ball. San Diego says they have it. We await on the official call.
There's a war going on under that stack right now. You're allowed to get your hands broken down in there.
Still no signal.
They're still fighting, yes. San Diego ball.
Is it the toast? Elvis Patterson who got it?
early part of this game, the Seahawks special teams have been making the big plays. Jefferson stripped that ball away from him right there. The ball is loose and on the ground. 35 Bucks had a chance on it. But it's, who is it, Charlie?
David Brandon, I believe.
David Brandon, number 58.
Yes.
Sure enough, David Brandon, 58, that came up with that football, and McMahon marches the offense back out onto the field, and how quickly the emotion has turned again.
Already within field goal range, 4:06, time remaining, down by 1. Turnovers, a total of 7. Major part of the ball game.
McMahon wants to turn this turnover into some points.
But not too quickly. There's Spencer. He fumbles it, but it goes out of bounds. What is happening with the ball today?
Somebody sprayed some WD-40 on that sucker.
You know, we've had a couple of bad exchanges at the center, and we've had fumbles kind of popping up from every direction.
Well, we hear the music to Jaws out there somewhere. Let's see what happens. He's just running with it. Tony Woods reaches in. That's just a good play. 57, and they're lucky. The Chargers are lucky that that ball inadvertently came off the foot of Tim Spencer, because otherwise the Chargers would have turned it over again to the Seahawks.
2nd and 19. Here's Benson. And he has a real grip as he leans inside the 25.
Well, he better. The Seahawks stripping at that football at every opportunity, and turnovers tend to come in bunches, Charlie.
Why?
It just happens that way. Seattle coming into this game only 8 turnovers on the season, and they've got, what, 4 today in this ball game. That's 8 in 5 games and 4 here today.
3rd down and 16. The ball at the 24-yard line. You're in field goal range. You take a chance and throw deep, or you just set up the field goal.
Well, you like to get the points, Charlie. There's a lot of time left in this game.
You got to throw.
Fumble.
And he has a sack and a fumble.
I think Seattle's got the ball. No, McMahon's not upset. McMahon is not upset. That ball stripped away. May have been Porter again for the backside.
Porter again for the backside. Well, now this started at the 18.
Well, now are they out of field goal range, Charlie?
They were well within it early. This will be in the round of. This will be about a 50-yarder.
Let's see if we can see what happens to McMahon. 97 coming right in front of you. Rufus Porter will go all the way around the backside. Now watch him come in and just reach in and slap that ball. That's twice today that the quickness of Rufus Porter has resulted in a McMahon fumble.
51 yards for the lead, and it's blocked.
And recovered by Seattle.
The Seahawks do it again. What a great defensive stand, ending with the block.
The big plays in this game, many of them have come on special teams. And back-to-back for the Seahawks, a blocked kick, a blocked extra point, and then a blocked field goal. See if we can pick out the blocker on this one. A minute ago, it was Jeff Bryant. This one, I think, came from the outside. No, it's inside again, and I think it may be Bryant again.
Is that Bryant or is it Joe Nash?
Oh, it's Nash. From the same spot. From the same spot. It's Bryant, number 72. He came from the same spot that...
That's Joe Nash.
Excuse me, Nash, number 72, from the same spot that Bryant came from moments ago.
Seattle now at their own 46. They're going to do a little work on the clock.
And off to number 32, John L. Williams.
And San Diego's going to take a timeout. They're saving 13 seconds here. They'll take another timeout, too, after the next play and use the 2-minute warning as a timeout, hoping that when they get the ball in offense, they can control the clock by the use of the pass.
Charlie, that's the 8th blocked kick by Joe Nash.
8th in his career?
8th in the career.
Is that a world record?
Well, that's a big record, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a man who's resting a little bit easier at the moment. It looked like that costly turnover on the kickoff team was going to put Knox's Seahawks back in the soup. But they've turned it around. There's the hero of that last block hiding in behind. There's Joe Nash.
It's been a game of heroes, hasn't it?
Boy, we have seen a lot of big plays. We've seen some costly mistakes in this ball game as well.
The time remaining, 2:13. Seattle leads by 1, 17-16.
This is where you like to go to that rushing tandem, Warner and John L.
And a little play action fake. And Craig rolls out. And he's just going to take it out of bounds. He's tripped up along the sideline. There's no flag. 2:05. So that does save San Diego a timeout. Lee Williams was chasing him along with Bert Grossman.
Well, I said they were going to go to the run. I think Knox is probably saying we should have run the ball.
I think he's saying to the official, I can't believe that we did that. Are they kidding me? I've got to get involved in the offense.
John Becker's the new offensive coordinator. Calling those plays, and I don't know what Knox is upset. He's mad about something.
No, I can tell you what he's doing. I tell you, and you watch this, you see coaches. They set up the officials on the side. There's ongoing conversations about all kinds of things. And they're setting him up for a call.
He might have been upset about what happened after Craig was hit on the sideline, Charlie.
Could be. So you look for it the next time. Craig for the shotgun over the middle, and it is incomplete. Scansey. 2:01. So there'll be another play. So San Diego gets opportunities because the Seahawks put the ball in the air. I'm surprised they didn't run it and just make them use the timeouts, take the play down to the game down to 2 minutes.
I tell you what might be happening here. Knox talked to us last night about it. He said we cannot be predictable. Now, by throwing in that situation, he breaks a mold. Chuck Knox's teams have always been eager to run the ball.
For San Diego, it is Darrell Usher. This is the kicker, Rodriguez. Darrell Usher is the punt returner. That's a change. It had been Brinson. There's pressure. Good high kick. Great hang time. Coverage is excellent.
No fair catch.
Take it at the 10. Slips one. Second man gets him. Good coverage again by Seattle. 43 yards on the kick. 1 yard on the return. 1:51. Time remaining. The margin is 1 point.
3 yards on Rodriguez.
In this ball game, Merlin, we've had 2 tee blocks, an extra point and a field goal attempt. How does that happen?
Well, it doesn't happen by accident. I can tell you, if you go to a Seattle practice during the week, in particular Wednesday and Thursday, Rusty Tillman has his charges out there blocking kicks time after time after time. In fact, the punt rushing team can't leave until everyone has blocked a kick. So he puts good schemes together. He convinces those players that they can block kicks, and then he has some people who have a knack for it. Nash, for example, I mentioned, has 8 blocks in his career. I mean, 8 blocks. I mean, that's incredible. You don't get that many. And Seattle over the years has done as good a job as any team in the league. In fact, I don't know whether a stat is kept officially, but Houston has done a good job too. But Seattle, a team that year in and year out blocks punts, blocks extra points, and blocks field goals.
How many blocks did you have in your career?
I had 2.
2.
And that was in 15 years. I was pretty proud of those. So.
You would not even be a finalist.
No, I wouldn't be in this one, Charlie. I couldn't get into Rusty's group in there. He's got some guys who have blocked a lot more than I have.
He's a special teams coach in Seattle. 1:51, time remaining. Again, the margin is 1. You're not 90 yards away. You're only about 70.
79.
Maybe 65.
Well, and there's a mistake that may not have been made if Joel Patton had been able to stay in the game. Had to come out because of his knee.
Start. Number 79 on the offense. Still first down.
Joey Howard, number 79, in Patton's place. And he simply wasn't able to maintain his composure in there. Worried about the pass rush. Tried to drop back a little too early.
1st and 15. Penalties. Seattle self-destructed in the first half. Second half, they haven't had that many. San Diego, that's 7 for 36. That's not a bad total. Here's the clock. McMahon from the end zone, and he goes deep. And it's caught. Wayne Walker has it. away from a field goal attempt. That was 44 yards. Clock is moving. 1:30, 90 seconds left.
Another speedster. That's one thing that San Diego can do to you. They can throw a lot of speed at you.
Victor Floyd is the remaining back. Fresh legs. He's the ball carrier. Only gets to the 50. It's second down and 8. San Diego will take a timeout. They stop the clock now. 1:13. Time remaining. Chargers. They need another 25 yards for a field goal attempt, but one has already been blocked.
Good morning, Mr. Graves. This is the all-new four-door Cutlass Supreme. Your mission is to show the world that it's causing an automotive revolution. Its sleek look and responsive performance make it a superpower among world-class cars.
This is not your father's Oldsmobile.
Ready, head up.
This is the new generation of Olds.
Walker.
A rookie 8th-round pick just simply runs right by Dwayne Harper. He gets help from Moyer here, but that's unforgivable in this situation. You know you can't let anyone deep. They just didn't have enough respect for the rookie's speed.
A great catch. It was right out at the fingertip.
That was a great throw by McMahon.
Chris Barr, number 3, San Diego. He's had an extra point attempt and a field goal attempt block. Offside. Flags are down. Ball is loose.
A question of who moved first. A lot of movement before that ball was snapped. There's no question that there were Seattle players into the line, and they're pointing back to say it is offsides, Seattle. Jeff Bryant is over there saying, wait a minute, somebody move. Let's see if we can see any movement.
Offside. Defensive left hand, still second down.
77 was offside.
Bryant into movement and across the line.
But if it's time to take another quick look, there was a little movement, not a lot, but a little movement of the man right across from him, and he went with it.
David Richards lifts his hand before the ball is snapped.
There he does. The right guard.
there.
Yes.
Well, Jeff was right, but the official did not see it.
Check it down, McMahon to throw. Far side, and he's going to Walker, but putting in a place that only Walker could catch it, and it's in a place where even he couldn't get to it.
Well, we're in 4-down territory here. 3rd and about 3 yards to go. Pretty important at this moment to pick up a first down.
One timeout remaining. 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining. Seattle 17, San Diego 16.
Ted Tollner will be sending down plays for the Chargers from upstairs, but I don't hesitate to say that Dan Henning may well be calling the plays right at this moment.
He told us yesterday late in the ballgame with a drive going, he likes to get involved. McMahon takes a timeout. Looked at the defense, did not like what he saw. He takes the last timeout. We'll be back in a moment. This is Charlie Jones, Merlin Olsen. 1:03, time remaining, the ball at the 45-yard line. Now, San Diego has dug themselves a hole by having to take that last timeout. And they like always, and all teams like this, to save that timeout for the field goal attempt so you do not have to rush it. They're going to have to rush a field goal team onto the field to get a kickoff, and they have been unsuccessful from a blocking standpoint, extra points and field goals.
Certainly right about that, Charlie, but I don't know that McMahon had choice. He didn't want to make a mistake. Either the call was not right for what he saw, or he didn't have the right people in there. Something upset him dramatically. He felt it was important enough not to make a mistake that he called the timeout.
McMahon has thrown for 268 yards. McMahon to throw. The pass is complete to the tight end, Joe Caravello. And those of you that have been watching Kansas City and the Raiders with the final score, the Raiders over Kansas City 20-14, you got here just in time. Hurry up offense.
McMahon will go without a huddle. 1 point down. They're trying to get into field goal range here, and there is Rufus Porter.
And it is caught. A great catch by Victor Floyd. Clock is moving. No timeouts. Now remember, McMahon can spike it into the ground to stop the clock.
Porter has knocked the ball out of McMahon's hands twice already today, and he had that in mind again, but couldn't get there.
Now what he can do, he can let the clock run down and spike it. No, he's going to get another play off. There's a flag down. Floyd gets to the sideline, but there's a flag down. Holding against San Diego.
Oh, what a costly call. That will take them back 10 yards, and I think, Charlie, that may push them out of field goal range with 14 seconds on the clock.
Number 79, still
and it's on Joey Howard, the left tackle, who's replaced the injured Joel Patton.
Self-destructing. Right-hand side of your screen, number 79. That's Rufus Porter, the speed going inside. And Joey just grabs the shirt and takes him down. You saw the official reaching for the flag.
From this point, it is a 54-yard attempt. 14 seconds left, no timeout.
He's got to go to the sideline, Charlie. Got to go to the sideline, get the ball out of bounds, and he's got to pick up some yardage doing it.
And you're on the ragged edge of the distance of Chris Bard.
Got a Hail Mary setup on the right-hand side.
But he's going to come back left. Miller was open, but McMahon ran out of time.
He only took 4 seconds with that play. He can throw another of those if he wishes to. They set up the Hail Mary look, went back to the speed and Anthony Miller on the left-hand sideline, but McMahon simply overthrew the ball.
He ran out of time from pressure and from the clock. You can't dawdle.
You certainly can't. They've got to get a little more yardage here, Charlie.
And the field goal team has to be poised, though. They've got to go after this play. He's had 2 over block, extra point and field goal. Here we are. He is sacked. Brought down at the 34. Excuse me, at the 43.
Number 97, Rufus Porter. His 3rd big play of this game on McMahon. He's already forced 2 fumbles coming from behind.
He'll have to spike it. He can't wait. He waits too long. It's over. Seattle wins it. The Chargers had opportunity after opportunity. An extra point attempt to tie. A field that was blocked. A field goal attempt to go ahead. In field goal range and then back out of it.
What a frustrating afternoon for Henning, and at the same time, a dramatic victory for Chuck Knox and his team. He knows how it feels to be on the other side. A hand on the shoulder of his colleague, Dan Henning.
We'll be back in just a moment. The Seahawks win it by 1, 17-16.
Chargers are back here at the stadium next Sunday.